Oh, you know what I love?
Sports.
I love sports.
Sports.
When it comes to Texas A&M.
Where are you getting this information?
Let me tell you.
Welcome to TexAgs.
I need to talk a little sports with you, Ags. David Nuño here with TexAgs Radio. Billy Liucci here on TexAgs Radio. Olin Buchanan.
We will develop men, we will graduate players, and we will win championships on the field.
The best way for us to win is to do it together.
Been in college baseball for a while now, but I've never experienced anything like 12th man.
These other schools are like, we're freaking Texas A&M, man. Like,
this one's special. The 12th man this past week was unbelievable.
The epitome of what this team has done, right? Gavin homers, Jace homers, Braden homers, Chris Cortez, 100-mile-an-hour fastball.
You know, if I'm betting on anybody, it's the Aggies.
Well. Welcome into TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. It is the Go Hour, presented by the Warehouse at CC Creations. It was intense. It was close. But it was the Aggies making championship plays when it mattered the most there against Florida. They will face Kentucky later on today at 6 o'clock. We have a crew in Omaha. We're going to break it down. Their moxie was on full display on that game on Saturday night. And yes, I stayed up for all of it, even an hour afterward. People were like, are you awake? Yes, I am awake. And I'm awake this morning in studio with Olin Buchanan, our Heisman Trophy voter, and Jimmy Buffett enthusiast.
Yes.
George Strait fan.
All those things.
And Aggie super fan.
All those things, yes. I want to ask you something.
I'm going to answer something.
All right. So you watched, I'm sure you watched all the College World Series games. Tennessee wins on, I think it was a 3-run homer, walk-off homer.
Yep.
Kentucky wins on a homer. I can't remember the guys' names. Kentucky wins on a homer. Actually, a homer in the, 8th to tie, and a homer in the 9th to win it. So Kentucky wins on a home run. A&M doesn't win, but really does on Jace Lavallette's robbing of a home run.
Right.
What was the more spectacular play?
Jace Lavalette.
Why?
Because it saved you the game.
Okay.
You win the game because of that catch.
Here's what I say. I say it's the Jace Lavalette play too. Only because this, and it's not because remove all fandom out of it. How often do you see a home run hit? To win a game. It's rare, but it's not like
super rare.
It's not super rare. But how often do you see a guy to save a game? Where it's a good thing he's 6'6",
yeah,
or 6'7", or whatever, to reach over.
If he's 6'2", does he make that catch? I don't know.
I don't know. So I just think all of them are spectacular. And if you're a Tennessee fan, you're probably going to say, hey, it's a 3-run shot. And if you're Kentucky, whatever. But, again, not rare, but you see, not uncommon either to see games won on a home run. But how often is a game won because a guy, robs you of a home run? So
is that an AC level moment in Aggie sports history?
Absolutely. Especially.
Are we going to be talking about it 10 years from now, 20 years from now? I think we will, especially if they win.
Yeah, especially if they go on to win it all. I can't. Now, I'm no expert on A&M baseball, so I'd have to ask Brauninger or Gabe Bach or Scott Clendenin, guys that fall. Has there ever been can you think of a bigger catch? When they talk about home runs, I always hear about Byington. Was it Byington?
Yeah, John Byington.
The two against Texas. I always hear about that. I wasn't even following there. And there are others. The guy that forgive me for not remembering his name, who hit the grand slam to beat West Virginia a few years ago. But and there probably are other spectacular catches that I just don't know about, that the people that really follow A&M baseball would know. But I can't imagine a bigger one.
Well, and if you think about it, the AC shot, as big as it was, and I was there, I was a part of the madness, was a regular season game.
Right.
It didn't guarantee they were going to get in the NCAA tournament, but it felt like they're going to get in after that, right? They still had to do some work in the Big 12 tournament.
Yeah.
But this game, in the College World Series.
I know, right.
Like, it doesn't get bigger than that. And to me, my favorite, we have the video somewhere. I don't think we've shown it, but to me, you can show it behind me, Kate, for YouTube, not to penalize us, but to me, his reaction, Jace's reaction, even though I know he mentioned he was a little bit scared when the ball was hit, we all were, right? I was like, oh no. But his reaction afterwards was just like, he's just kind of walking cool, like, here we go. This is what we do.
Well, first, and then he lets out a primal scream like Ryan Swope after one of those long catches against Alabama in 2012 when he's just so it was like he caught it. He was completely under control, and then he thought about it. Hey, this is a big deal. But yeah, it was just a spectacular moment. Now, I will say this: the only reason when that ball came off the bat and you could tell it was going to right field that I wasn't that I was hopeful that it might stay in the park was because earlier in the game, Lavalette just launched one that way. I thought there's no way that's out. That's not out. And it died.
It died. Yep.
And I think Caden Sorrell might have had a similar one that he hit really hard out that way and died. So I was thinking maybe it's not carrying the left to right field, but here we're watching it and he putting his hand on the wall.
Look at that catch.
He goes up and gets it.
And when they go to him up close, that's the part he's like, I'm just cool. I've done this before. Yeah. The crowd is all into it. Obviously, I guess we don't show that part right here. Maybe right here. But he just makes the catch like, this is what I do. I've been playing baseball my whole life, and look at that. He just puts his hand there.
Out, and boom, it's not a home run because it's in Jace Lavallette's glove. Yeah. Mac, you ever do anything like that in soccer?
Nothing compared to his catch, but I've had a few defensive plays
I'm sure you
that
have.
I was proud of.
I'm sure you have.
So, a couple things. I watched the last 3 innings at my parents' house. Okay, I listened to the first 6 innings on our drive back from Florida. That's 17 hours.
Well, that'll make the drive go a little bit faster, though, won't it?
It did, but that drive sucks.
I know it does.
The drive to Atlanta / Orlando to / Juno Beach was way better because we broke it up. This was 17 nonstop, freaking terrible hours in the car. 4 kids.
Yeah.
Everybody can't agree on the right song, music. I'm putting the game on. Okay, Dad. And I got to listen to Bronny, Monaco, Will Johnson. They were fantastic. And Bronny, we are so blessed to have him. He's so great. So I get to watch.
Brauninger was on Sirius Radio this morning.
He was. I heard him.
He was spectacular.
He was great with Danny and Dusty. So when I get to the house, the last 3 innings, and then I'm watching the game unfold. I'm like, is it bad luck what I'm doing here? Because now they got people on the bases, and it's Evan Oschenbeck, and I made the comment to my family, he just won reliever of the year or the closer of the year. And I'm like, I said it out loud before. I got to wait. Ended up working out.
Awesome back, man. He's like, Daddy's coming home. Everything's okay.
How about this? The buttons that Jim Schlossnagle punches, right, or pushes, right?
That guy's a good coach.
He's not only is he a good coach, he's a great coach, but he opened himself up for some criticism, did he not? If it doesn't work, because we did the show Friday thinking maybe Prager was going to be the guy.
I would have lost money thinking Prager was the guy.
But if you go back and listen to Friday's show, Liucci and Bronny dropped hints that it wasn't for sure going to be Prager. I think at one point Bronny said, if it's Prager. And that's, okay. It's not a foregone conclusion. He's heard some things behind and that's why our team is there, and they're doing great work. But he opened himself up, and then Justin Lampkin, who had not started in, how long, over a month?
Seems like it.
Who struggled the last time we saw him. Was great. He was freaking great.
Wasn't he?
He was great.
In fact, he was so good that when Schlossnagle lifted him in the 4th inning, he didn't. Cortez came out to start the 4th inning. I'm like, what are you doing?
Yeah. But it worked. 16 strikeouts. We haven't even talked about that. They struck out 16 Kentucky guys?
Yeah.
Florida guys?
Florida guys, yeah. I hope they strike out 16 Kentucky guys tonight.
You know what? 15 will be fine. I'll take 15.
Okay. Then you just got to get 12 out some other way.
But the buttons he has pushed since he got here, right? He's brilliant as a coach. He's been very kind to our show and to this company. They're doing big things. They win 3-2. Chris Cortez, who has become a national story. People who follow college baseball, who did not know much about Chris Cortez or knew he struggled, are now talking about his major league dirty stuff.
Yeah, but again, you're watching it when he was pitching, and it's the same old Cortez roller coaster because he's walking guys, and you're like, oh my gosh, and then boom, boom, boom. I think he struck out 3 in a row, right? To start.
6 strikeouts in his 3 innings right there. And so
he would be so much fun if you're not riding on every pitch for his, as a fan.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Quickly, we had a lot to get into about baseball throughout the hour, and 9 o'clock hour. Bronny's going to join us from Omaha. We'll have Zane with us at the bottom of the 9 o'clock hour. We'll have Billy for, I hope, the entire 10 o'clock hour. So we'll check in with him. The two fans that made themselves a story.
Yeah.
I don't even want to talk about it, but there's a couple things about it I want to talk about.
Okay.
First off, I hate people that – hate's the strong word. I really dislike people that like to color an entire fan base with two guys that represent us, okay? Mm-hmm. So I'm watching this unfold, or listening to that unfold, because we were driving at the time, and Bronny's like, kick him out and don't even let him back into Olson. That's what he said when it happened, okay? And at that time, we didn't know what they were yelling. Mm-hmm. Now we kind of know. And I didn't even know that backstory either. Not that we need to get into gossip here on the show. But that's happening. And on social media, the reaction is typical Aggies. Aggie's going to Aggie. Typical bad Aggie fan. And I'm thinking to myself, first off, every fan base has got some lunatics. That's the A. And B, throughout history, Texas A&M, for the most part, has been applauded for not only a place you come to Kyle Field and you feel welcomed when we go elsewhere. So please don't color me with that BS crap that our fans, that's just people who do no research, who just want to talk and get some interactions on social media. You guys don't know jack, blah, blah.
Here's the deal. First of all, I'm all for those guys being identified and ostracized. If you can't handle your liquor, then don't drink so much, or don't take that many Jello shots, or whatever it was. But you're completely out of line.
Yep.
Secondly, here's the difference. Here's a big difference. From what I've seen, the vast majority of Aggie's reaction is just what Brauninger said.
Appalled.
Get them out of here. You don't represent us. That's not the way we do things here. You don't even need, whoever you are, you don't even need to be allowed at an A&M athletic event again. Wash your hands of them. Whereas I've seen certain fan bases, maybe 1, 2, or 3 states to the east of us, where you saw the guy the one time, the LSU fan that had the unfortunate incident happen to him by the fans from the other place, and there were like, in that video, there were like 50 fans around him when this is happening, and not one stood up and said, hey, don't do that. This is not something you want to do, and they laugh about it. No, I think the big difference is everybody, like you said, fan base has their a-holes. Some are more spectacular than others, and these two guys proved themselves to be spectacular a-holes. But the reaction from the Aggie populace has been one of condemnation. And so I think that's one of the things that would set A&M apart.
To me, it sounds like, look, I'm just guessing here. This was premeditated. This was they were drinking, getting their Jello shots on, and like, you know what we should do? I remember reading this about the coach at Florida. We should let him know what's up. And I applaud the Florida assistant coaches that were about to beat their Like, you got to take your team like that. Let's be classy, right? Let's just be classy.
Yeah. Again, the guy from, we found out the identity of the guy from Alabama that poisoned the trees. We found out the identity of the Alabama guy that assaulted the LSU fan while he was asleep. I'm looking forward to these guys, we're finding out the identity. And
I'm shocked we don't know yet.
Yeah, but
I'm shocked.
I am too.
Because if you were in Omaha, you're a super Aggie fan, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or you're related to players, or you're not really Aggies. And there's that whole thing.
Yeah, I'm not going to buy into that one, but maybe. I would like to. It's possible. But I'll say this.
The fact that no Aggie has said something, I know those guys.
Here's what
I'm hoping here. I'm not
me
right.
Too. Well, it's like you might remember when someone was here, he received this. You'll remember this, racist-filled letter, and it was all this. It was Aggie's like, who is this? We need to find out and kick him out.
And then people did the same thing there. Oh, typical Aggies.
And then it turned out to be a University of Texas guy that sent it.
Yeah. So hopefully we figure it out. But regardless, by the way, this is Coffee Talk presented by TexAgs Coffee. Beat the hell out of mornings by going to texags.com/coffee. What number of coffee should we give out? 3? Because they won 3-2?
Well, I was thinking, I'm so excited still about that catch by Jace Lavalette. Well, 17 is probably too high a number.
No, not for Aggie baseball.
Okay,
not for Aggie baseball.
Today's June 17th.
And today's June 17th.
Oh my gosh!
and Mac's 17 years old, or she was once.
At one time, and you were in the 1800s.
I can't. I don't think I was. I think I came out of the womb at 50.
All right, so 17th person to text in the word coffee to 979-693-1150. We got you a free batch of TexAgs coffee. 17th person to say coffee. Mac will take care of that. Let's go around the room and say hi to the people if you want to be a part of the conversation. 979-693-1150. Why am I talking like an announcer? 693.
Because we're all excited.
We're excited.
Game day, baby.
Game day. Why am I copying you? Johnny 2 times. Or
Get the papers.
Get the papers. All right. Let's go to Cade Bickham behind the glass, who's there for Nick Savage.
And David's back.
But I was here.
But he's back in the office.
But I'm in the office. All right, Cade. Good morning, buddy.
Good morning, y'all. Yeah, it's nice having David back in the office. It was fun on Zoom, but it makes everything a little bit smoother now.
Oh, great. Now the boss is her, and I can never go visit my family on vacation. Thank you. That's great.
Please
God,
keep
way
going
to go,
on vacation.
Kate.
Please keep going on vacation. You look like you're having a lot of fun out there.
I mean, I didn't get to do anything because I worked, and then it rained. And then I worked, and then it rained. Then I worked, and it rained again. But go ahead.
That's brutal. Well, on the topic of the Jace Lavalette catch, I was going to say I thought it was kind of, because, he's a big dude. So I thought it was kind of funny how easy he made that catch look. He made that catch look so easy. It was just a little hop. He was just right there.
I had my bank on it. Cade Sorrell is going to make a defensive and offensive play, and I'll take the Jace play all day, right?
Like
I'll take being wrong. Yeah.
Caden came about maybe an inch or two on a diving attempt at a hard hit ball away from him, from having the ESPN play of the day.
Yeah. What else, Cade?
That's all I have for y'all.
Who's helping you? Is that Riley Puig?
Yeah, this is Riley Puig. Yes, that's correct.
Any relation to the Major League Baseball player?
Oh. Yeah, yep. He says yes. He says yes. Yeah.
There's no chance Riley Puig is Cuban.
Puig?
Yep. Puig.
Oh, okay.
What was his first name again? Cade, you remember?
Riley.
Yasiel.
Yasiel Puig. He was Cuban, not Riley. You don't know.
Is Riley Cuban?
Nah, there's no chance that guy's Cuban. Come on, bro.
That dude had juice. I remember the one he hit out at Minute Maid. He barely pulled it over. It was crazy.
That's right. Let's go to the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. Aggies gather at the Angry Elephant. The Mac attack is there. Makai McDonald, hello, good morning.
Good morning, David. Nice to have you back.
Thank you very much. Did you miss me?
Of course.
No, you didn't. You're like, whatever, it's a show. It is what it is. That's all right, Mac. I see how it is. What's going on in your world?
Nothing much. I just came from Austin from a convention with my sorority, so it's pretty exciting. Got to meet over 500 different Deltas from all over the region, so it's pretty exciting.
Very nice.
You follow baseball?
I do follow baseball.
Really?
I was watching the game on 6th Street.
Really?
On 6th Street? With an alcoholic beverage in hand or a library book?
Just sitting there watching it.
Okay.
How was the reaction over there?
Oh, people were actually really engaged. Everyone was watching. I went to one of the bars and it was sitting right there on, and everyone was just into it. It was close. It was the 8th inning, so that's when everyone was kind of into it. I don't know if they were hoping.
I wonder what the reaction was when Lavalette caught that ball.
I mean, I know what my reaction was I wanted to bleep out a word I couldn't say in front of the children.
Right.
Holy cha-chas. Anyway, Mac?
I have some trivia for y'all.
Okay.
So.
Okay. Well, this is
Olin
shines in these moments.
Kind of something really quick, something that's been on everyone's mind. On Sunday's setting stage, Richard said the A&M's victory over Florida was the first time the A&M won the opening round in the College World Series. Didn't A&M beat Kansas in the opening round game of the 1993 College World Series, then lose to LSU and then Long Beach State?
That I do not know.
I am not. You know who would know? The former host of this show, like that.
Yeah. Hey, Gabe, call us up because I know you're listening. Call us up and give us that answer.
He's his recall on old schools is fantastic.
But if Richard reported it that way,
what year are we? Because
he said 93.
We have internet capability in this building. Somebody could look that up.
I'm kind of inclined though. Richard does a good job. He's usually pretty thorough, so I'd be surprised if he was wrong. But not everybody's perfect, so we'll find out.
Mac, what else you got for us?
Just wanted to say Happy Father's Day to you guys.
It was a Happy Father's Day.
Did you guys have a good Father's Day?
the wife and I jumped up in the truck and drove to Lake Charles, Louisiana, and had a
1993, Texas A&M beat Kansas 5-1.
There you go.
They lost to LSU, and then they lost to Long Beach State.
The Dirtbags of Long Beach State. Now,
Anywho.
So we went to Lake Charles.
I saw the post,
with my son. So I was able, on Father's Day, actually spend about a couple of hours with my son, which is...
That's all you want, man.
I actually wanted a lot more time, but you got to do
I'm saying, but just be with your son. That's like my wife was asking me, what do you want? And I was like, I just want to be around the family. I wanted to go see my pops and go be with my kids.
Yeah, so.
But you know this about me. When I get a lack of sleep, I suck. I suck anyway, but when I get a lack of sleep, I suck. Yesterday was because we drove through. I was tired, yada, yada. The game kept me up late. I woke up early for Father's Day. We went straight to my dad's house to hang out. He's going to be 94 next month, and, he had some health issues earlier in the year, so good to spend time with him. We get back to College Station around 2 or 3 o'clock, and it's unpack. It's, that whole grind, and then it was straight nap time. I took a little nap. My wife made an excellent dinner, and I got to spend time with my kids and just hang out. That's the kind of Father's Day that I like.
Yeah, it was nice. Just that. Why I'm a father because of him, and why you're a father because of them. So, good fathers want to be with their good kids.
All right, when we come back on TexAgs Radio, a little bit more about Kentucky. We didn't really touch on Kentucky, right?
I was in Buc-ee's, and I saw a guy with a T-shirt, and it said, "Proud father of several," and I think it said, "dumbass kids."
I like that. I like that a lot. So we'll talk a little bit about Kentucky. We'll talk about dumbass kids, and we'll just continue breaking down this College World Series. Right now, though, Aggie headquarters in Omaha. We got a game later on today. So if you're headed to Omaha, if you're already in Omaha, the Aggies, and you want to watch the Aggies beat the hell out of Kentucky later on today, the Association of Former Students and the 12th Man Foundation invite you to a pregame gathering at the Aggie headquarters located at DJ's Dugout Sports Bar in downtown Omaha. The event will begin 3 hours before each Aggie game and wrap up about 30 minutes prior to the first pitch, giving you plenty of time for the 12-minute walk to the stadium. You can enjoy good bull with fellow Aggies and free registration that includes snacks and a complimentary drink ticket to the kickoff game day festivities. Make sure you head over to the Aggie headquarters in Omaha to get ready to watch Aggie baseball. For more information on the event, you can register at tx.ag/OmahaHQ. Again, that is tx.ag/OmahaHQ. All right, so I haven't watched a lot of Kentucky. I mean, just what we've seen in the postseason is TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio, Go Hour, presented by the Warehouse at CC Creations. I haven't watched a lot of them. I have checked out a bit. I do know their style and their reputation, OB, and their reputation is small ball. I even heard Bronny talking a little bit about it on the radio with the Sirius guys, with Dusty and Danny, where they're the kind of team that he compares to Iowa football. When they get a lead on you, it becomes very difficult to because they like to play their style of game and just paper cut you to death, if you will. So get those crooked innings early, take a big lead, and make them play long ball. Although I think they hit 3 homers in the last game that they played in, so they're certainly capable of doing it.
Yeah, I'm like you. I can't say that I've saw a lot of Kentucky baseball this year.
3 homers against NC State.
I watched that game, or at least most of it. I know this. I looked it up. The guy who's probably going to pitch today, his name's Mason something. I should have wrote it down. The last game he pitched, he went 3.1 innings and had 6 walks and got lifted.
Oh, I love when that happens for us.
So I'm hoping that'll happen today. I'm gonna go back and try to find it. This guy's name.
What a luxury, though, for Texas A&M to have Ryan Brauninger available for Game 2 in the winner's bracket, right? Because if you win this game, you're in the driver's seat, baby. You are in the driver's seat.
Yeah, then somebody's probably going to have to win 3 straight games to advance past you, right? And you got to win one.
You got to win one. Well, you got to win. I see what you're saying. Yeah.
To get to the final. Yeah, Schlossnagle so far ahead in thinking. Again, I never act like or pretend to be a baseball expert, but it just seemed to me, the first game's so important. Of course, you're going to start your ace, your starter. Of course you do, because and then Schlossnagle comes up like Lee Corso, not so fast, and he comes in, and not only when I was Lampkin's pitching, oh my, and then the guy comes out and gives you 3 nearly perfect innings.
Right.
And you're like, man, Schlossnagle is just so far ahead.
He's playing, what do they say? Playing
chess when everybody else is playing checkers. I don't even have the checkers out. I'm playing, well, I'm not going to say it, because there was a game when I was a kid, maybe you didn't have it because that was called checkers from a certain country, and never mind.
Yeah, no clue. So, something that Richard wrote when he was talking about Ryan Brauninger is that he's only given up 12 home runs on the year. Unfortunately, the last 3 have come in 8 of his last innings. His last 8 innings, I should phrase it.
Yeah.
So 9 homers coming into his last 8 innings, and I believe that has to include the Texas game.
2 against Texas.
Yeah.
Both solo. Well, but wouldn't you suspect or think it's more likely to occur when you start playing better teams?
Of course.
So it makes sense. Just keep them as solo shots, Ryan.
Keep them as solo shots, and I will tell you, when they were taking on Jack Caglione at the end, I was so scared because I know his reputation, right, and how great of a player he is. And if you look at Charlie Condon, Jack Caglione, the Aggies have had success. Like now, did Charlie Condon hit some homers? Sure. But when
solo
it mattered,
shots.
Exactly that. As for Kentucky, get ready to play some small ball. That's what they do. Ryan Brauninger, one of the things that I believe Schloss said yesterday when they were talking to him in the pre-practice interview session was that he likes the matchup for Brauninger versus Kentucky.
Okay. And did he say why?
I was hoping to get him on the show today, but we can't get him. The scheduling doesn't work out. But that was one of the things I wanted to go a little deeper. Like, what makes it a good matchup?
Yeah.
But you know what? It goes back to what we talked about at the top of the show. He's pushing the right buttons. So
Yeah.
I'm just going to trust that he knows what he's doing.
Well, I think I think you have to at this point, right? Because nobody's perfect, but his decisions, he's as close to perfect as I think anybody's going to get.
Hey, let's go to the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. Mac, I know we got a few text messages that started off the show. Let's get to it.
Let's go ahead and talk about how about Justin Lampkin. The beauty about postseason baseball is there's always an unexpected hero that steps up. Who might be next?
That is Matt in San Antonio. Matt, good text there. I think as we were leading up to this, even leading up to the SEC tournament, the postseasons where legends are made, right? And legends come in different sizes and shapes, right? A legend can be your best player, can be Jace Lavalette making a legendary catch, right? It can also be Jackson Appel just being a hoss back there, right? It can be Teddy Two Bags. It can be Hayden Schott.
Teddy Burton keeping his foot on the bag when Caden Kent's underhand lob to him, went so high. That was a huge play.
It can be Caden Kent hitting a grand slam when you least expect it, right? We remember postseason failures, of course, but successes, and that's how you become a legend in Aggie football, Aggie basketball, Aggie baseball, Aggie sports history, is what you do in the postseason. And that's why these plays, with more eyeballs than ever, that's why these plays is where your legends are made.
Oh, I agree with that. Absolutely. The bigger the game.
And Justin Lampkin's the guy, I don't know, legendary performance you can say, but maybe out of nowhere to us performance. Not to that staff. They all knew he could do it. That's why they put him in there. But to us, we're like, there was a moment of yeah. And I even saw some people questioning Schloss during the game. What are they taking Justin? People in the media. And you can ask it. Did it work? Sure did.
I admitted I was watching the game, and I'm like, why are you taking Lampkin out now? The guy's been nearly perfect. And, he pushed the buttons, and it worked. Now, there were times when I had to hold my breath with Chris Cortez, but then when it was over with, you held your breath, and then there was this great exhale, a sigh of relief when he struck out the third guy.
So we have no delay today because I am not on Zoom. If you want to be a part of the conversation, call us up. What are you thinking about tonight? What do you think about the Aggies versus Kentucky? What do you think about the matchup? Prager versus Kentucky. We'll get into that. 979-693-1150. You can call us or you can text us. Let's hit a break here. We'll come back with some more baseball. And I got a couple football things to get into with OB because are we less than a month? When is SEC Media Day? It's July what?
About a month from now.
About a freaking A. Let's
probably
go.
Maybe a couple days less.
Let's win a College World Series, have a celebration, get 3 days off, and go to the SEC tournament. How's that sound? I mean, the SEC Media Days. How's that sound?
Dalton just texted me that Schloss is playing chess and I'm playing Pong. He's probably right.
Dalton, we miss you. All right, let's do this. Let's hit a break. We'll come back with more. It's TexAgs Radio.
So.
TexAgs Radio presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. Go Hour presented by the Warehouse at CC Creations. So the game's going on, as is King George.
Yeah.
I didn't get to go. I would have loved to have been there.
It was crazy. I didn't see it, but I was here at TexAgs before.
Okay.
I had to admit I saved a parking space for a friend of mine.
It's fine. So we have a building. Yeah.
Yeah, you have to have some perks, right? So and
now everybody heard, I'm calling OB.
Yeah, but this guy gives me free stuff sometimes. So anyway, and I'm watching the crush of humanity descending upon Kyle Field, and it was crazy. And then as we were leaving, about the time the concert was starting, we were leaving around 6:00, just trying to negotiate through the back roads,
the neighborhoods that we take usually.
Yeah, was like getting through a video game.
Was it like a game day?
Yeah,
it was worse.
But the concert had started, so most of the people are already there.
Yeah.
So but I was still kind of like a salmon trying to swim upstream.
The biggest ever in United States
concert in the history of the United States of America. America, which starts with A&M.
So, yeah, which is true, actually. So it's the biggest ever, 110,000. I was looking at some of the other numbers we've had at Kyle Field, and I was actually kind of surprised we can get up to that high. Like, the concert made sense because people were on the field, right?
Right,
But for football games, we've gotten up to, 109.5 or something like that, or maybe even 110?
Well, at one time, but then as they continued to work on the stadium, some seats were taken out.
Right.
But, yeah, it was, it was a spectacular performer at a spectacular venue. He has a spectacular, fan base, so it must have been a spectacular night. I missed it, but
I saw some videos that were posted. It looked, and everybody, like there were people who were not Aggies that were coming to town, and our town was showing, just like for the soccer game the week prior.
In fact, I was at breakfast, and we got to talk to this couple next to us, and the guy was from New Braunfels, and his date, she was from Bentonville, Arkansas.
Okay.
And he had sent her a plane ticket to fly down for it, and they were telling us how they go all over the country to see George Strait. And they'd gone to Seattle and other places to see him.
The only concert he did in Texas this year, right? Is that what
Is that right?
Yeah.
I wouldn't know that, but maybe this is going to inspire him for another song. Maybe it's going to be College Station by morning.
Oh, that'd be a good one.
Yeah.
I heard he dropped a couple of gigums in there. And maybe there was a whoop.
Oh, I'm sure there was a whoop. Maybe there were no whoops at all. And if you'll buy that, I'll throw the Golden Gate in free.
Whoop that, today, later against Kentucky.
Let's hope there's some whooping.
Can we play Whoop There It Is when we come back?
Ass.
Anyway, because I know that's one of OB's favorite songs, Whoop There It Is.
Yeah, it's one of my all-time favorites.
Do you raise the roof when you listen to it?
Absolutely. Yeah.
I figured as much.
Whoop, there it is. Whoop, there it is.
Keep going.
Whoop, there it is. That's all I know. I don't know the rest of the song, but I know the whoop, there it is part. I covered enough high school football at that time. I should have known the game. I've known the song front to back.
Oh, man. Whoop, there it is. All right. Hey, so on Friday during the show, I saw a tweet about the guy from Pro Football Focus. His name escapes me at the moment, talking about Connor Wigman, making the case for him being the number one quarterback, QB1 in the next draft, right? And it was a great article. That kind of goes along with something else where it talks about ESPN has NFL draft class top prospects to know. And I thought we could kind of go through a little bit of it. Connor Wigman is in this story. They're broken up into tiers, right? And Connor's not in the top tier, okay? But he is on the best of the rest. Is that where he is? Let me try to find. Yep, best of the rest. So do you want to know who's ahead of him, or do you want to know Connor first? I'll let you decide what direction we go.
Well, who's ahead of him are probably the usual suspects. I would think, Quinn Ewers is probably ahead of him.
Top names to know: Carson Beck.
Yeah.
Shadur Sanders.
Okay.
Quinnivan Ewers.
Okay.
Okay. Jackson Dart.
All right.
Cam Ward.
Okay.
Jalen Milroe. Those are six right there. There's another one, a guy we're going to get to know pretty well in a couple of weeks, Riley Leonard.
Okay.
Okay, those are guys ahead of him. Now there's 12 pastors listed, the best of the rest.
Okay.
I'm going to read that. I don't know if these are in order. I'm going to read them in the order that they come in, okay? Drew Aller at Penn State.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which I was very underwhelmed with him when I saw him last year, but okay.
Max Brosmer, Minnesota.
Okay.
Jalen Daniels, Kansas. I like him.
Okay, yeah, I do. Actually, I would put him ahead of some of the guys you had on the other list.
This is the next one I like too. Noah Fafita, Arizona.
Okay.
TJ Finley, Western Kentucky. We're familiar with his
How
game.
many times does he have to fail other places?
He's a cockroach. He keeps coming back.
Okay.
And I mean that in a respectful way.
Wasn't he at LSU and then Auburn?
And Texas State.
Yeah, this is the guy's going.
Hey, I got an idea. Let's let them transfer as many times as they want. Just keep transferring. Go. Again. One more time. Dylan Gabriel, Oregon.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. Will Howard, Ohio State.
All right, from Kansas State to Ohio State. All right.
KJ Jefferson, Central Florida legend.
I would have him over some of the guys that you mentioned in the first list.
Grant Nussmeier, LSU.
Grant or Garrett?
Sorry, Garrett.
I was going to say, do they have another? Because
his brother.
Quite frankly, Grant has done about as much to impress me as Garrett has.
Donovan Smith, University of Houston quarterback. He's pretty good.
Okay. I'm not familiar.
He's 6'5", 240. He's a big dude. DJU.
All right.
You always have an opinion on DJU.
I mean, he's
kind of like some of the other names. Like, we keep hearing about him, but I want to see it. And he may be great at Florida State, by the way.
He might be. But once again, you mentioned DJU. You mentioned Cam Ward. You mentioned Shadur Sanders and somebody else. And the guy from Arizona, right?
Noah Fafita.
Yeah. And I ask you, what do all those
guys...
Why
Rollo Insurance?
Why do all those guys have... What do they have in common besides gaudy stats from last year?
That's it.
They all played in the Pac-12 where everybody had
gaudy stats.
So is it because you're great? They had that many great quarterbacks, or that their defenses suck to monumental levels?
There's a little bit of that. A lot of that, I should say.
So that's why when I hear Shadur Sanders, or I hear even Cam Ward, who may be the best of all those, the Arizona guy may be the best, or DJU, I go.
These are all in alphabetical order. By the way.
I go, really? I mean, they're really that good? Okay, if you say so.
All right, and here's the last one on the other quarterbacks to know. There's 12 I listed. Connor Wigman. Even though foot injury limited him to 4 games last season, I was impressed with Wigman. After studying the film, he has good size, 6'3", 215, produced when he played 979 yards, 8 touchdowns, just 2 interceptions, but he has to stay healthy. He has a good arm, fiery competition, not afraid to test. Is he injury prone? I'm sorry.
He's been hurt once. One time, his freshman year, he got sick. You remember the flu?
The whole team got sick.
Yeah.
They had like 9 players against Florida.
Injury prone. He got hurt one time because A&M didn't pick up a blitz, and a guy from Auburn got a 15-yard head start directly at him and hit him in the.
I don't think Quinn Ewers is injury prone, but he's missed time the last 2 seasons.
Quinn Ewers is more, I would say, more apt to get hurt because doesn't he get a lot of? Hasn't he had some issues with concussions? Is that right? Or am I thinking of the guy before him?
I think it's the guy before him. But he's been hurt the last go. And he may have missed a game because of concussions, by the way. But he's missed games the last 2 years. Connor gets hurt. And to me, like, broken bones are not injury prone. I don't know. Like, am I wrong here? I'll be like, when I think of injury prone, I got a hamstring. Oh, now you've got a pulled calf, and now your butt hurts. Like that. Sorry, your glutes.
Yeah, I've been pretty butt hurt for a while. Some of the, I get what you're saying, but I don't know.
By the way, a monumentally bad. He got hit more times. I'm not gonna make a joke. He got hit so many times against Miami, and he just kept on throwing.
He looked like a piñata.
He did look, but. You know what? He looked good. He looked excellent in that game.
Well, you get good stuff from a piñata.
Depends. I'm not really a candy guy, believe it or not.
I believe it. Maybe they'll get
I had cheesecake yesterday.
You know what? Here's what we do for David's birthday. When is your birthday, by the way?
September the 10th. We're always on the road.
September 10th. We need to get a piñata, and we break it open, and broccoli falls out.
No, I'd like more like, I don't know, protein, grilled chicken. My diet for the last 10 days has not been a diet, by the way. It has been.
Mine either.
Eat everything in sight.
I was doing well, and then I had a week where everything, and it wasn't my fault. But anyway, the point is, Connor Wigman, he got hurt not because he's injury prone, but because he had an offensive line that was prone to getting their quarterbacks injured. So
a long list.
They're right.
So, can we do it again? Haynes King.
Haynes King.
Okay. Zach Zada, did he not, like, he wouldn't have played in the bowl game. He got
right.
hurt. Okay.
Well, he got, remember in that great game against Alabama, he got hurt, and they were fortunate that he was able to come back in.
Okay. By the way, Haynes King again.
Yeah.
Okay. Max Johnson, Connor Wigman.
And then you're leaving out.
Oh, Jalen Henderson.
Of course, that wasn't. To be fair, that wasn't on the line.
Okay, but if we're
talking about
injuries to quarterbacks, and by the way, the Connor one per se, was that the offensive line's fault?
It was.
But constantly getting hit.
Yeah.
QB shouldn't be getting hit a lot. How about that?
Well, they're not supposed to, but especially because somebody misses a blocking assignment.
And part of it might be they're doing mathematical equations before they throw the ball because they're trying to figure out what's happening because that playbook was a little bit hard to digest. That could be part of it too.
Or what if they didn't watch video of your opponent's blitz packages?
Ahí está eso también. Right?
Yeah. Sucker blue.
¿Cómo? Hey, can you raise the roof again? Or whoop, there it is again?
Yeah, whoop, there it is. Whoop, there it is. And why? Look, why is Mac laughing at me?
Because your head moves with it. Like, it's weird.
Right,
most people who lift, but this is you. Like, you're like pushing it up.
Because I'm raising it all the way. I'm old. I got to put.
You got to get the extra inches.
I got to put everything into it.
Heritage Films time.
Yeah.
I don't know how to transition from that.
Because then when you're watching,
do you think Chance McClain has raised the roof?
Oh, without a doubt.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably some of his I don't want to call them videos. Would you call them videos?
Video, sure.
Well, some have raised the roof.
Yeah.
You think In fact, I would say, hey, we're going to watch a video on David's father, and then you're looking at it, and whoop, there he is.
There you go, OB. Can we clip this for Chance later? Chance McClain and Heritage Films, they make documentary films about families, family businesses, family ranches, even maybe on OB at some point. You got to call him up. He'll take care of you. He does these movies. They're like 2 hours long, and they're fantastic. Father's Day yesterday. We didn't get to watch his video again, but we've done it together as a family. It is great talking about my dad. You can also do the year flicks, and year flicks options are fantastic. 20-minute benchmark videos. You will love it. And we did it for Annalise, my 13-year-old daughter, when she was 12. Benchmark video to find out what she's into, the cool things that she likes. Chance did it, and his son Noah did it. It was fantastic. What you need to do is call them up, 713-893-8341, 713-893-8341, or check out yourheritagefilm.com. Yourheritagefilm.com is Heritage Films. Show him, not me. You make sound effects too. You're like, I can hear you breathe. You're like,
yeah, I'm old, David. I'm trying to stay up. Why is Mac laughing so hard at me?
just do it again, please.
Well, I gotta have music. I can't
Play the music.
I can't dance without music.
Holy smokes! Did you strain your neck?
Yeah, my neck's always strained. That's why I told you I can't.
It's like a noose was pulling you.
But yeah, Mac's laughing at me like, look at this stiff old white guy. What was going through your mind, Mac?
Oh my!
Be honest. Be honest, Mac. Stop laughing. Be
your
honest.
mic's not on. Turn on your mic.
I didn't expect you to do this morning.
But what was
I
going
didn't
through your
expect all
mind
this
while I
energy.
was- yeah. Oh, I'm an energetic guy.
You are.
Hey, it's game day.
It's game day,
Everybody
baby.
needs to be energetic. I didn't even have a monster this morning.
No. Did you work out?
Not yet. I will work out later today.
Okay.
But I had a good night's sleep, so I didn't want to get up.
How many hours is a good night's sleep for you?
For
6?
me, 6 is outstanding.
Okay.
If I can sleep uninterrupted for 6 hours, that's great.
You should get one of these or an Aura so we can monitor your sleep.
I have my own aura.
You have a lot of Aura.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's go back to the
That's
Angry
some aura
Elephant.
surgery.
Angry Elephant News and Social Center. Aggies gather at the Angry Elephant. Mac, I know we got some text messages. Why don't you give us one or two?
I may have missed this, but is this the first time the Aggs have been in the winners bracket at Omaha?
No, Kansas.
Yeah, we beat Kansas,
They beat
yeah.
Kansas in 93.
1993.
Richard was wrong. Richard actually texted me and took
ownership
of his mistake, and he said, "What?" But it was 93, and I don't think he was born until 97. But you still got to know.
There's a why. Let's get another one in there.
Cut him a break.
Someone asked on YouTube, what are your predictions of tonight's pitchers?
You know,
I think we get the best version of Ryan Brauninger. I do.
Yeah, I'll say this. I know he wasn't close to his best against Oregon, but I still say anytime Ryan Prager's pitching, I feel confident.
I think Ryan's going to get back to what
And
we've seen.
The guy from Kentucky's Mason Moore.
Mason Moore. Here's what I think is going to happen. I think we're going to get up on Mason Moore early.
If he pitches.
If he pitches, right? I think we're going to get some early runs. Ryan Prager's going to go 5, strike out 6, and then the Aggies going to find a way to finish it out.
Now, Prager's going to go. If we get the Prager we know and love,
6.5
7.
innings.
We're
7.
gonna get 7 out of
That'd
him.
be so nice. It'd be great for the bullpen, too. All right, OP, fantastic hour, buddy.
It was fun.
Yeah, how's your neck?
My neck's fine. I got my.
And your back?
Oh, my back's
Your
got.
hip?
Yeah. I kind of loosened up. Whoop! Here I am.
Oh my, we'll be back. I don't know, Bronny. I don't know. TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers Rollo Insurance Studio. Let's go to the hotline. Ryan Brauninger is with us. This AMO, I know you've been working all morning, man. I heard you on Dusty and Danny. Great job there. What's up, bud? I don't hear you. Mike's not on. This is good radio. All right, Kate, you work on it with him as we figure out what's going on there. It's TexAgs Radio. I mentioned that already. Presented by David Gardner's Jewelers Rollo Insurance Studio. And Bronny, you back?
Can you hear me?
Hey, buddy.
Okay, I can hear you, but it's a little bit like choppy.
Oh, that's interesting. How's the internet over there?
The internet's been fine all week, but we can make it work. As long as I don't sound funny, I can probably piece together what you're going to ask.
Okay. Well, how's the trip been so far overall? Just talk to me about leading to the first game, post game, everything. Just kind of take me through the last, 3 days.
Yeah, it's been good. Anytime you get to come to Omaha, Nebraska in the middle of June, I'll never complain about it. Obviously, the circumstances around the game the other night were a little bit different, but you kind of roll with the punches, and we were when we got home, it was like 2:30 in the morning. We didn't get to bed till after 3 probably, but you're kind of rolling on adrenaline, and I think it took everybody here about a day to recover from just the workload and that late night, early morning after the Florida game. But yeah, it's all good, man. Like this is a super fun trip. If you're listening to us in College Station and you have kicked around the idea about coming to Omaha, I highly, highly suggest it. It's just an incredible atmosphere, incredible scene, and it's the epitome of a sport that I think is my favorite on the planet. I think college baseball is my favorite sport, and then it would be college football. But this is, as Jim Schlossnagle called it, this is the pearly gates. And so to be here and be able to have this as my job, I'm incredibly lucky. I'm incredibly blessed, and it's not lost on me how cool of an opportunity this is for all of us here to provide content, but also, again, call this a job.
Bronny's there in Omaha. Bronny, let's talk about the weather today, because I heard you this morning mentioning that it looked like it was going to be really bad, at least in the morning. Should that affect the game later?
No, it's actually already moved out. This morning, though, it got pretty gnarly about 7:30, high winds, lightning, heavy rain. But I think that's moved out for the remainder of the day if my Weather Channel app is correct. But the one thing that might affect the game tonight is these winds, is like 20 to 30 mile an hour winds. And if my, orientation of how Charles Schwab Field is laid out, they're going to be blowing in from center field. So it certainly could impact the game tonight.
Talking to Ryan Brauninger there in Omaha. Bronny, let's get into, we'll go to Saturday night, and then we'll work our way to Kentucky. The catch, I mentioned to OB, this is that catch, regardless of what happens the rest of the way, but especially if things continue going in the right direction, is probably AC level-esque moment in Aggie sports history. From a baseball perspective, can you compare other moments? Like, where does that kind of rank in your time covering A&M sports?
Yeah, I was talking to Billy about it, and it's hard not to be a prisoner of the moment when those catches happen. But I thought whenever he made it, and during the moment when I was on radio with Monaco, my immediate thought was that's the biggest defensive play in Texas A&M baseball history. Now, and I've gotten a couple of days away from that, and I would have to comb through like some plays. Obviously with that 2022 team, was there like a big defensive play? I would think that the Trevor Werner double play against Notre Dame, that was a massive, massive play. But that was kind of a routine ball, right? It was a one-hopper right at him. He steps on the base at third and throws it across. This was anything but routine, even though Jace made it look pretty routine, because I think people often forget about how ridiculous of an athlete Jace is. But yeah, man, like I can't think of one. It's got to go up there with some of the great defensive plays we've seen regardless of sport. You think about the Bo Jackson goal line stop against Auburn in the Cotton Bowl. Maybe some of the I wouldn't put it on nearly close to like the Brian Gamble fumble recovery against Texas, but like just some of the great defensive plays in Texas A&M sports history, given the circumstance, given the scene. In Omaha, a place where you've been 8 times as a program, you haven't won your opening game here since 1993. Like, how else are we supposed to talk about it? Like, I don't want to put a damper the enormity of the moment, because we're trying to like talk about other instances in Texas A&M sports history. Like that was massive, massive, massive. So, yeah, man, when I'm looking at it through my lens, it's got to be one of the bigger defensive plays in Aggie baseball history. Especially
if they keep winning, right? Like, to me, I'm going to remember where I was in that catch for the rest of my life, just like I remember my AC Law moment, just like I remember the Seth Small moment, like Johnny moments, all of them, right? Like, I know I'm going to know what I was eating, what I was wearing, where I was sitting. That, to me, is the level of catch we saw from Jace on Saturday night.
Yeah, I wouldn't disagree with you, and it was so cool to be on the headset with Monaco and listen to him go through the emotions of it. Man, he's so good.
He's the best.
He's so good in those moments. And I told him, like, his call of the Caden Kent Grand Slam, they're going to replay that swing and that home run and that scene from Bluebell Park for a long, long time. And his voice will always be attached to it. And, a lot like I think it was Tim Brando that called the John Byington walk-off home run against Texas in that doubleheader. And it's just become synonymous with it. And Monaco did such a great job of capturing the moment. But, yeah, you looked around the ballpark, you looked in the dugout after Jace made that play, and the hardest thing, I think, was for everybody to come down off the emotion and the high of that play. And here comes Jack Caglione walking into the box as the go-ahead run. And so Evan Aschenbeck gets up on him 0-2 and then pitches around him, which is crazy because, you're in such an advantage count that you start nibbling, but because that if you throw something, if you miss to that guy, he's not going to hit a home run where you can rob it. He doesn't hit the ball like that. When he hits them, they go 450, 460 feet. So the emotions of that half inning will be something that I remember forever. It was just, on pins and needles, nail biting stuff every pitch of that inning.
Bronny, to keep going down that path, championship teams and championship level teams have these moments throughout the year, right? You don't get there without that kind of performance or that kind of quote-unquote luck, and we've seen it from Caden Kent's Grand Slam the other night to many things throughout the regular season, right? We saw to the performance against Texas, right? We've seen these moments. Talk a little bit about that because it takes a certain kind of moxie, but also rising to the moment to win these to have championship level teams.
Yeah, I mean, it takes a lot, right? You have to have the talent to do it. You have to have the depth to withstand the season. And then you do have to catch a few breaks. And in my opinion, A&M hasn't really caught a lot of breaks recently. I mean, I wouldn't even call what happened in that 7th inning against Oregon breaks. Like that's the opponent melting down in an atmosphere that overwhelmed them. But like in terms of, them getting a good hop or a bad error being made, I don't know that A&M's gotten that yet. So they've done a lot of it on their own and through a lot of guts and determination and mettle and grit and all the words that we've used to describe this team more so over the last 7 days than the previous 3 months. But I think that if you're going to win here in Omaha, you're going to have some breaks and you're going to have some guys step up in massive, massive ways. And the Aggies did that. Like the most slept on hero from game one is Justin Lampkin.
Yep.
And when the last outing we saw, he threw 9 pitches, gave up 2 earned runs, and he couldn't even, I think the only out he got was on a double down the line that the Aggies made a great relay home and tagged the guy out against Louisiana in that regional final. And 9 pitches into his outing, Jim Schlossnagle's walking back out to get the ball from him. And then you hand that guy the ball in game 1 of a College World Series, and he goes out and faces 1 over the minimum through 3 innings. I mean, you couldn't have asked for more. That's exactly like the dream scenario that they would have drew up in the coaches' meetings was 3 innings from Lampkin. He leaves the game, and we have a lead. And that's exactly what he gave them. So there's going to have to be somebody else do that here because you are shorthanded on the pitching staff. And who knows who it's going to be, but Justin Lampkin answered the call the first time at least when his name was put up in lights, and he answered the call in a big way for this club. And I would imagine because he pitched that way, he's going to get another shot.
Well, one more thing on Jace's catch. You've known him since he was, 12 years old. How calm he came across to me throughout that entire exchange, right? From him tracking the ball in the air to making the catch, and then the moment hitting him maybe a few steps after. But he had this kind of calmness to him that was refreshing from me watching it.
Yeah, I think it highlighted just how skilled Jace is, and he makes the not normal look routine. And that's when you know you have a special talent on your hands. But I thought it was a good blend of the new Jace as he's matured in the way he plays, and then the old Jace. And by old Jace, I mean young Jace. And the fact that whenever he was growing up around him and watching him play so much like I have, he loves playing baseball. Like he just brings him so much joy, and that's his escape from whatever's going on in the real world. So he makes that play very calmly, composed, throws the ball in, and then you see the emotion come out. And then he turns into the 11-year-old kid that's just having so much fun. So I thought it was a good blend. You got to see everything about Jace that's made him, a potential top 5 pick next year. But also you got to see a lot of what Jace has been in the game of baseball growing up.
Bronny, let's go back to Lampkin, but from a Schloss perspective. He opened himself up to criticism. Not that he cares, right? But there were probably some people out there had Justin not had his best stuff, been like, man, why do we do that? He knows how to push the right buttons.
Yeah, and it was mitigated obviously by having a fresh Chris Cortez behind him. And so whether Justin Lampkin got 2 outs, 9 outs, 15 outs, you knew that you had one of the best relievers in the country coming in behind him. And so that, I think, gave the coaching staff some insurance with making the decision to start Lampkin. But you're right. I've said all week, when Shane Sadeo went out, somebody was going to have to start games and get big outs. You were going to have to pick somebody. And I don't think they wanted to let that somebody be Chris Cortez because he's been such a great insurance policy out of the bullpen. And so it was going to be Justin Lampkin, Tanner Jones, Brad Rudis. One of those was going to have to, and maybe Tanner Jones and Brad Rudis still do. They were going to have to start and get big outs. And it was Justin Lampkin's name that got called. He answered the bell in a big way. And I'm sure the coaching staff that took a lot of discussion to sit down and make that decision. And then, Lampkin rewarded them for their faith and their belief, and went out and had his best outing probably in a month and a half, 2 months.
Max Weiner, he comes out there with Evan, was it the 8th inning where he went and spoke to him on the mound, and he had a smile on his face. He had this kind of I'm your buddy approach. And I'm not saying that's how he coaches, but it just seemed calm. You've had a lot of interactions with Max. You've seen how good the staff has been under Max. You've even heard what Schloss was saying about former pitchers and having Max around, right? Talk to me about that approach on how he talks to his pitchers. And there's a friendship there, but also a respect level.
Yeah, to watch him in his first season of coaching, in his interactions with the players and the pitchers specifically, you just get a great sense for what this guy is already and what he could become. It's hard to talk to Max and think that you're talking to a 29-year-old. His wisdom, his composure, his ability to be aware of everything around him and comment on it, coherently. And he's always got something when he talks to me that opens my eyes, and he's younger than me. So he speaks like he's twice his age and twice his experience. And so I think that has rubbed off on the players. He never looks like he's in panic mode. He's these guys' number one fan. There's no question about it. Outside of their parents, they don't have a bigger fan than Max Weiner. And I think those kids believe that. And whether they're being talked to, like you said, with a smile on his face in one of the biggest moments of the season, or whether it's in the bullpen and he's really getting on them, they have a massive amount of respect for how they're treated as players and how they're treated as his players. And I think Max is well on his way to being a head coach. No question about it. I don't know how soon or how late that it happens, but and this is something maybe you asked Richard. I haven't even looked it up about assistant coaches of the year in college baseball. How is that guy not on the list if he's not? What a turnaround in 1 year. It's been the biggest turnaround. The biggest reason Texas A&M is in Omaha is for a couple of reasons. The recruiting job that they've done, and then the turnaround and the work of Max Weiner with this pitching staff from 365 days ago to now, where they were setting a school record for walks by a wide margin, to now being one of the most complete, consistent pitching staffs in college baseball. When you look at just that turnaround, how is he not assistant coach of the year?
he's kind of got a tweener look to him, right? Like he could be a player, he could be a coach, right? He's got that kind of youthful / respect look.
Yeah, he's real clean cut. He's got a lot of stuff going on in his personal life. Obviously, huge congratulations to him and his fiance. And that was something that I think whenever they decided to make the move to Texas from Seattle, Washington, that was kind of on his plate. And I imagine him getting that done is I got engaged a lot sooner than you did, but you know kind of what that stress is like, even though if you know she's going to say yes, it doesn't make getting down on that knee any easier. But so I think he's accomplished a lot in his personal life here. This was a big leap of faith for him and his fiance. And to get into college baseball after not ever having coached kind of at this level. And I think the returns for him on this move have been incredible. And he's so appreciative, man. Like it's not lost on him what he's doing, the place he's doing it at. I talked to him before, at that practice session when we got to Omaha, and he was so fired up to be in the College World Series in year one. And, that's always been his goal. He told me, he's like, the day that I accepted the job, the goal was Omaha, and we got here in year one. And, but I don't think they're satisfied. But I think you have to look at what he's done and one of the coaches of the year, at least on campus, right? Like take all the sports. Who's done a better job with their position group than Max Weiner?
You're exactly right. Brian, I want to go a step further. I was listening to the broadcast on Saturday as we're driving back from Florida. So the first 6.5 innings, I was in the car. And you went out of your way to talk about Nolan Cain. And I want you to give our audience a little bit about that, because Nolan not only is responsible for Jace being here at A&M, but just what he means to all those recruits, what he means to this team after what was kind of a scary week. Not scary, controversial week, whatever you want to call it. I think that whole program has Nolan's back to the fullest, and I just want you to talk a little bit about what he means.
Yeah, I think you'd call it an emotional week, right? Because of the ups and the downs of what happened with Braden and then winning the Super Regional, and it was not Nolan's fault. He could have held Braden, and on the next pitch, there would have been a wild pitch pass ball. Braden's trying to score, and the same thing happens, and it's just a freak injury, right? But what Nolan Cain, it's hard to put into words what he's meant to this program. And I think Jim Schlossnagle would tell you the same thing. And one of the elite recruiters in the country in a time in college sports where talent acquisition is paramount, because you can go get players from so many different avenues. In baseball, even more so than football, right? Because the junior college circuit is so prevalent. So when you think about all the players that he's got to be talking to, whether they're 16 years old in high school or 20 or 19 years old in junior college or 22 years old as a grad transfer, like Nolan Cain is so comfortable in any of those settings. And, oh, by the way, he's also a pretty good position coach. When you think about, he works with the catchers. Look at the 3 catchers that they've had here in his tenure. Troy Claunch, pretty good, right? Team leader, one of an all-time legendary player just in 1 year at Texas A&M. And then you go fast forward to last year, and he's taken a 17-year-old Max Coffer, 17 years old, fresh out of high school, and he turned him into a pretty daggum good defensive catcher by the end of that season, where you didn't worry about the ball going to the backstop. He was a good thrower. He commanded the pitching staff. Like, that's Nolan working with that kid every day. And then this year, Jackson Appel, first-team All-SEC SEC catcher, and has played his way into a draft pick. So not only does Nolan acquire the talent, but he's also pretty good at developing it within his position group.
All right, Brian, let's take a break, do another segment on the other side. It's TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. Time to talk a little Milliken Reserve farm-to-table community in College Station. They got homes, they got trails, they got wide open spaces with a mission to build a healthy community around nature. When you want to get out and about, you should go to Milliken Reserve or just hang out. You can go hiking there, you can go biking, you can go fishing, you can go canoeing, kayaking. They got equestrian trails, they've got the evening yoga, they got the farmer markets, the farm tours. An awesome place for your family to connect and come together. They've been doing it for a long, long time. It is a beautiful area just to go hang out. You can also live out there because they have awesome properties, and you want to know all about them. The Creek are homes on 10-plus acre wooded estates. You got the Hollows in a private gated community. You got the Meadows, homes that are responsive to that natural surrounding. You can learn more at millikenreserve.com. Again, that website is millikenreserve.com. They're rooted in Texas soil. If it sounds like a place for you, go check out millikenreserve.com. TexAgs Radio presented by David Gardner Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. Ryan Brauninger is live in Omaha with us for another segment. Bronny, we heard Schloss yesterday, or we heard it on the Sports Flash a moment ago, but Schloss yesterday talking about he likes Prager versus Kentucky. Why do you think he likes that matchup?
Well, I think it's because of how Kentucky wants to play. They have had some big home run swings over the course of their season. Who hasn't when they've gotten to this point? But they want to push the issue. They want to push the envelope on the bases. And I think Ryan Prager, for a lot of reasons, gives you the best chance to mitigate that or at least defend against it whenever the Aggies are out on the dirt. And he's really good off the mound. He's a good PFP guy. He doesn't, his heart rate doesn't go up whenever a ball's bunted. And I do think that part of the reason why they've essentially pitched back was to get this matchup in case they got Kentucky in game 2, whether it be in a winner's bracket or a loser's bracket, is to have Ryan Prager, who is immensely intelligent, one of the smarter guys I think we've ever talked to. I don't know how much of his NIL interviews you've listened to, David, but super cerebral. So I think that played a part into them making the decision to go with him against Kentucky and why they feel like this is the best chance for them with the matchup. But also, he's been your best guy all year. And, from now on, every game you win is some of the biggest games in program history. So why wouldn't you want your best guy on the mound to start it? And but I think, just in terms of this matchup, he throws a ton of strikes. He's not going to put Kentucky on for free. When you put Kentucky on for free, that gives them an opportunity to play the game how they want to play it. So they're going to get some guys on base, of course, but you got to make them earn it. And if they earn it, that's fine. But then you got to be able to pick up a bunt. You got to be able to hold runners. You got to be able to be, unwavering with men on base. Pitching against Kentucky requires like a resolute spirit. Like you've got to just keep fighting with them. You know what I'm saying? So I think this is obviously A&M's best matchup against anybody is with Ryan Prager on the mound. But for this Kentucky team specifically, because of what he can do off the mound, his ability to throw strikes, and then just his calmness with the running game, I think he's a pretty good matchup for the Aggies. If
you guys got any questions for Bronny, you can send those in multiple ways, 979-693-1150. We'll have them here for a few more minutes. Bronny, let's talk a little bit about the wind maybe playing a factor today, because it is a big ballpark, but I think I heard you with Danny and Dusty talking about it should be blowing in today. Is that correct?
Yeah, again, I don't know that my orientation with Charles Schwab Field is as good as it is with Bluebell Park, but it just seems like to me what I looked at online this morning would indicate that it's going to be blowing in from right center harder than it was the other night. And Jace hit a ball. I don't know if you remember, Jace crushed a ball to the right center field gap. And when Jace hits the ball that hard with that trajectory, like we've seen it 28 times this year, it goes out of the ballpark and it just stayed in. So hitting homers anywhere other than the bullpens down both lines is going to be difficult. You're going to have to hit it low. Like the ones that Jace hits where they're like big and majestic are probably going to be held in the yard, but you can get it out, but it's certainly going to play a part, I think, in, maybe knocking some balls down to center field. But Kentucky, where they want to play, they're fine with that, right? They want to bunt, they want to run, they want to do all those things. It's kind of like Louisiana in the way they played, but with more juice in the order. Like they've got some guys with some thump that can really hurt you. It's also a Kentucky team that I think is very similar to the 2022 A&M team, where you're looking at them as individuals and you're going, okay, like I don't know that individually they have a player where you would take them without question over somebody at A&M or somebody at Florida or Georgia or, any of these teams, Tennessee. Like, I don't know that you would look at any of those spots on the Kentucky roster and go, yeah, I'll take their guy over what we've got. But when you put them all together, the sum of those parts has been incredible. 22-8 in the league, SEC co-champs, and obviously they've rolled here to Omaha, and they've done it in just a variety of different ways. They've won shootouts. They've won pitchers' duels. They're aggressive on the bases. They can win in a lot of different ways. And so, like, you can't look at this game just as individual talent because the Aggies have the distinct advantage there. Like, you have to look at the sum of the parts because individual accolades now, they don't matter anymore. It's all about the team, and that's what Kentucky and A&M too. But when I'm scouting Kentucky, I'm going, okay, like regardless of what you think about their individual players, you have to put some huge amount of respect on what they've done as a club.
Bronny, who do you think is the first call off the bench for if Prager goes, let's say he goes 5-6 innings? How do you think they manage the pen?
Well, tell me the score of the game.
It's 4-2.
4-2 in the 7th. I think it's going to be Brad Rudis or Josh Stewart. I would think. It'll depend on the matchup too, right? Like, if it's a lefty, do you go to Evan Oschenbeck, say, hey, we need you to get the next 4 or 5 outs, and then we'll give it to somebody else. But I think Evan, he threw 51 pitches, I believe, the other night. So he should be okay. And really, Chris Cortez can probably give them 2 to 3 hitters, maybe an inning, to get you out of a tight spot if he's just going to come in there and rip those sliders to somebody. But if it's going to be a name that we haven't heard yet, I would think that it's going to be Brad Rudis or Josh Stewart.
Okay. And how does the schedule play out? If they win, they don't play again until Wednesday, right? But if they lose, they would play Tuesday?
Yes. I actually just got a really cool text from Brooks Raley.
Okay.
Texas A&M legend Brooks Raley. And I'm also working on getting Bryce Miller on the program for you. I haven't told you that yet. So I was a little distracted by that text I got. I don't see Brooks Raley's name pop up on my phone very often. But what was it specifically you asked?
So if they lose, they would play again tomorrow. If they win, they don't play again until Wednesday. And I'm curious how you think that could see who starts the next game.
Yeah, I think you worry about today. For the rest of the time that you're playing, it's about this game in front of you, and you worry about tomorrow, and you worry about off days when you get them. And it's all hands on deck for every out from here on out. So I know that Max Wiener had a pitcher's meeting where he basically said, unless you're injured, I don't care about how your arm feels. Like, if your arm's hurt and you're hurting, you obviously need to tell us. But this is Omaha, man. Like, you're all on green. You're all in green, which means you're up to pitch every day. And that's the way you have to approach this thing. And, you're on the cusp of a national championship, man. Like, feelings don't matter anymore. Physical feelings don't matter anymore. You got to go pitch.
Brian, isn't it amazing? Like, and this is the fan of me speaking, so just bear with me for a moment. But, like, most other teams lose the kind of guys that A&M has lost, and you think they should just be happy to be here. But I can taste a national championship. I can see a path to a national championship. Yes, obviously, you're one of the final 8 teams. But I still have maybe not the exact same kind of confidence, but pretty close to the same confidence that this team can still win a national championship based on what we've seen so far, even without 2 of their studs.
Yeah, and I think a lot of those kids have kind of felt like they've been written off since they've gotten here because of the injuries to Montgomery and Sadeo. And maybe that helped them put a little bit of a chip on their shoulder. I don't know if they needed any help to do that, but they're certainly playing with a little bit of an edge. And we've seen them. I gave Kentucky a lot of credit for how Kentucky has won games over the years. I mean, how many different ways have we seen A&M win?
Yep.
They've won 50 times. That's a pretty incredible season. Like, without a question, this is one of the greatest Aggie baseball seasons of all time. They have a chance to cement that with a win today and maybe one more win. But, David, with one more win here, whether it's tonight or later on in the week, that's 2 out of 3 years that they've been in the Final Four. And how many times have you sat in that host chair right there, or whoever has, said, go back to Gabe since they started this show, and how many guests have you had on that talked about the potential? It's a sleeping giant at Texas A&M.
Yep.
But they're mostly talking about football, right? But baseball should be mentioned in the same vein in terms of potential at this university, and we're starting to scratch it. Like, this is getting to the Final Four in 2 out of 3 years should never be like the expectation of a program, because it's so hard to do. But what we are seeing is like Texas A&M can be an elite baseball program nationally, and it's no longer just talking about it. We're seeing it now over these last 3 seasons.
Brian, I remember when I got here in 2021, and I got 2 other things. We're going long on this segment. 2 other things for you. But I remember in 21 when I got here, you and others made me feel that baseball might be closer to a national championship than football. And let's not forget, when I got here in 21, they had just hired Schloss, and football was coming off an Orange Bowl victory because of what he was able to do. And I'm talking about Schloss here specifically. And they have arrived. They are that team you're talking about.
Yeah, and I think it's changed the trajectory of the program now for the rest of time. We've seen what it can be. We've seen what the atmospheres this year have been at Bluebell Park. They're going to get renovations done. So that's happening. So the trajectory of this program has certainly changed without question. And yeah, you're right, man. Like, I think it's always been the second favorite sport of Aggies. I think, there have been times when basketball has pushed that line, but I think consistently baseball's always been the second favorite sport. But now it's putting distance between, and that's no disrespect to Buzz Williams or any of these basketball kids at all. Like, it really isn't. I love Buzz. I love watching those guys play. The brand of basketball, they play so hard. They're so gritty. They're so tough. But I think with what we've seen at Bluebell Park this year, like, it's a clear cut that this is the second most popular sport amongst Aggie fans and only growing. And you've seen it through our numbers at TexAgs. You've seen it through the numbers at the ballpark. You've seen it in the volume at Bluebell Park this year. It's not just the regional game against Texas or the super regional game against Oregon. You go back to Auburn, Vanderbilt, Georgia, and you think about Mississippi State. Some of those atmospheres this year, the opening night atmosphere against McNeese was as electric as you've ever seen. Also, the midweek games, the one against Sam Houston State was awesome. Like, it's a Tuesday night game, and it was incredible. So I think the fan base, the 12th man, has dove headfirst into this baseball program again. I think the fervor for it has been reignited, and I think it's here to stay. It would take something like, a lot of years of, like, some really bad trends on the field for it to go away. Like, I think this fan base has bought into A&M being an elite national baseball program.
Last thing, you're usually really good at telling me who's due or who to watch out for. Who's due? Who should I watch out for tonight?
Yeah, I think, there's going to be a big game coming from Gavin at some point. He's just too good. And he had a single the other night, and he did have a check swing single against Oregon. So he's gotten some hits, but both he and Jace can, they compress the baseball as good as anybody on the roster now, especially with Braden out. Like, those two guys compress the baseball, and they're going to have to it's going to be hard for me to see them winning a bunch of games without those guys maybe getting an extra base hit. Now, I'm not making any kind of commentary on Jace at all. He has been awesome. He's been incredible. He's taken his walks without Braden behind him. People are pitching him differently, and he's got to stay patient. So Jace is getting on first base, and now without Braden in the order to protect him, Jace is being a little bit more aggressive on the base pass too. So some of these walks could turn into doubles, because that's one element of Jace's game that we saw as a freshman that we haven't seen as much this year because he hasn't had to run, but we know he can run. So I think that there's a big swing coming from Gavin or Jace. And then keep an eye on Teddy Burton, man.
Yep.
He's been successful in this stadium during his time at Michigan in the Big Ten tournament. I thought he had some good swings, just missed some barrels against Florida the other night, had a pop-up that he hit a mile high, and I always love, for me as a hitting guy, when I look at guys swing, I like pop-ups that they hit straight up in the air to the outfield. That means they are really, really close to being on the ball. We're talking millimeters. So I was good with Teddy's night the other day, even though he didn't have any hits. He hit into a double play. I think I'm looking at Teddy and going, hey, man, like, I think you've got a big swing coming, and he's been awesome this year. And, yeah, but it's going to take everybody. It really – honestly, for them to do and win a national championship, I don't know that there's going to be one player now that's going to carry them. Like Gavin, Jace, them going crazy, I don't know would be enough. It's going to take all 9 of them.
Bronny, thank you, sir. Great work, and we'll talk to you here tomorrow. Let's go now to a break. We'll come back. Richard Zane going to join us for a few minutes. He wrote a nice piece on Ryan Brauninger. We'll get into that and more. It's TexAgs Radio. Richard Zane's not taking any steps over there. Laying down on the aforementioned, I'm not going to even say it, couch. TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers Rollo Insurance Studio. Mr. Zane is in Omaha. How are you, sir?
Nuño, what's the name of the couch? What's the name of the couch?
The Omaha couch.
Correct answer. I'm good, brother. How are you? It's good
great.
to actually see you back in your natural habitat in the Rollo Insurance Studio.
Not in the hostage situation that I was in. Everything is going well. They're treating me kindly. That's what it looked like, right?
Yeah, this space definitely suits you a little bit better.
Buddy, first off, I saw a post about your Father's Day story, and I hadn't read it yet, and I went back. What a great tribute to your pops. Let's talk a little bit about it, man. Let's talk about the experience there and your thoughts on Ryan Brauninger going on today. I know you wrote a piece on him as well.
Yeah, I mean, first off, the Father's Day thing, right? We're driving up here Wednesday, and you've got almost 12, well, actually just over 11 hours, thanks to the Leadfoot driver over to my left. And Jamie and Katie are sleeping, and Bronny and I are just chatting. I'm trying to think of like content ideas, outside of what we obviously have planned for the coverage of the games and stuff like that. And I come up with, I decide I want to kind of write this piece for two reasons. And the first one's a little cynical, right? My role as a managing editor, I have to think of how I get content sponsors, rotating content sponsors out on different pieces of content. And because A&M's been so good, and because Miranda and the sponsorship team have been so good, a lot of our actual baseball coverage stuff has been sold already. So I've got to think outside the box and stuff to write. And that's when, a little bit of a letter to my dad and baseball was, top of mind. And, I understand that, I'm not special, right? A lot of people are, very fortunate enough to feel the loves of their father, deep into their 20s and 30s. And, for you, way beyond that, I know you and your dad have a really special bond. And, I've never got to meet your pops, but obviously, I feel it every time you talk about him and you want to go see him. And it just kind of sucks that, because of work, you have to be away from him. But at the same time, baseball is, what me and my dad have bonded over a ton. And it was really cool to reflect on when I got to come here as a 12-year-old in 2009 and, my dad, and those are really special memories. And we've got so many other special memories that are baseball related and aren't baseball related, but, baseball is always top of mind when you're in Omaha, Nebraska. So it was really cool to reflect on that. And it was really awesome to see that it was well received. And, got a text from my dad. I didn't tell him I was writing it or publishing it. I just posted it on Facebook and tagged him, and my mom said he was pretty moved by that. But then enough about me and my pops, but baseball, man. Yeah, Ryan Brauninger, you're in the 1-0 game for the first time since 1993, and obviously I got some heat for that. I was wrong in the setting the scene earlier, but you're in the 1-0 game for the first time in 30-plus years, and you've got your ace, who's had one of the best seasons in A&M history, going against a team that's already thrown their ace in Kentucky. So, I mean, you got to feel really, really good about that. Ryan Brauninger's been fantastic all season long. He struck out over 100 dudes. I know what he did in his last start against Oregon. Whatever that's behind him, he's pushed it behind him. He's flushed it, whatever. You have to feel really good about this dude. And plus, he's also got the Omaha experience from 2 years ago. He pitched twice. He pitched in both games. They used him in a much different role than they're using him in now, where, he's the ace. He's the guy that's trusted to go deep into games and get you those quality starts. Back then, he was just used as an opener, short relief kind of stints there, here and there, at least in the postseason. But each and every time you get to step into this environment and onto that mound, like, that helps you. So Ryan Brauninger's not coming into this blind. Like, he has the experience that can help him overcome the emotions and the nerves and the jitters that might come with getting to start a game in Omaha.
One of the points you made, though, was he only has given up 12 home runs on the year. Unfortunately, 3 of those in the last 8 innings. How much can we read into that?
I don't think you really read too much into that at all. To be honest with you, I included that in the advance yesterday just because, it kind of plays into the reversal of trends theme that I was rolling with from the beginning. Bluebell Park, when it's hot in June, plays a lot smaller than early in the season, and it will also play a lot smaller at any point in the year than Charles Schwab Field, Omaha. So, I don't read too much of that. I don't think Ryan Brauninger's struggling to give up the long ball at all. It's 3 swings of the bat in 8 innings, and it's 12 over 80 plus innings. So it's really not a concern of mine at all.
Hey, this question came in from Bronny, but he's not here, so I'll ask you this. It's from JB and
But he's right here, so if I need to ask him, I can.
Looks like on TV, we are, speaking of A&M baseball, the most impressive team physically of the 8. What do you guys think?
So to be honest with you, we haven't really been in the ballpark too much for the other games, right? The only 2 teams I've gotten to see up close have been A&M and Florida, at least for an extended period of time. We got to see a little bit of Kentucky and NC State when we got to the ballpark on Sunday. Was it Sunday? No, it was Saturday night to get ready for A&M's game. But yeah, Florida is pretty impressive physically, but A&M, I mean, even without Braden Montgomery, it's just a different kind of athlete. And I think back to the team they brought here 2 years ago, and it's night and day as far as physicality.
And physicality, Kentucky, not a team that's going to wow you with home runs, but they did hit 3 against NC State. This game probably would be a little bit more, especially with the way the winds could potentially be blowing in. A lot of bunts, a lot of stolen base opportunities. How do you think it's going to play out?
So I think you should expect Kentucky to play more towards their billing today rather than what they did on Saturday, right? They got the afternoon game, and obviously it was hotter than when A&M played its first game, so the ball flies a little bit better when it's warmer, and obviously the wind kind of circled around and turned around for A&M Florida, and then it turned around again later in that game. At least that's what I saw people talking about. Wasn't really paying too much attention to the flags out in center field. So I don't anticipate Kentucky hitting too many home runs today, if any. I don't truly anticipate A&M hitting too many home runs, if any, if Bronny's orientation and mental picture of the way the ballpark is oriented is actually correct. So I think you should expect Kentucky to play more towards their billing with the bunt and run game if they're going to generate offense, and A&M's just going to try and be who they are as well. And A&M, as much as they hit the ball out of the ballpark, they can find the corners, they can find the gaps, that they can get extra base hits even when the ball's not leaving the yard.
Hey, I want to close out with this. Speaking of baseball being the connection with your dad, you probably wouldn't think this, but for my family as well. My dad, diehard baseball fan, watches every Yankees game that's in 1950s and 60s Cuba. That's what they watch, was the New York Yankees, for good reason. So we have bonded over baseball throughout our entire career, and Canseco being my role model as a young kid, and the Astros World Series runs, and so we have that as well. I think baseball, all sports connect with dad and son, and mother and daughter, and mother and son, whatever, you know what I mean? They all do, but there is a special thing about that relationship between the dad and the son at the ballpark.
Yeah, and it's not just a father and son, right? There are plenty of dads that bring their daughters to games, right? Like my sister and my dad have been known to go to games out in Arlington on their own, kind of hang out. So, yeah, it's just something cool that you get to bond with your dad over. And if it's not baseball for you, or anybody out there listening, I hope everybody has something special that they can sit and enjoy memories with their pops or with their mom, and just something to always have and always think about them. Every time I go to a baseball game, I'm always thinking about my dad, at least to some level, and I wish he was here. And hopefully, if they keep playing a little bit later into the week, he can find a way to get up here, and hopefully we could celebrate a national championship together.
Thank you, Richard. Appreciate you, buddy.
Thanks, David. See you soon, brother.
See you. Around Aggieland coming up next on TexAgs Radio. All right, we're back here on TexAgs Radio. We are presented by David Gardner's Jewelers Rollo Insurance Studio. It is now time for Around Aggieland, presented by Normandy State Bank. Normandy State Bank, rock solid banking. The website is NormandyStateBank.com. With that, we have Matthew Dawson in the hizzy. What up?
What's going on?
How are you, buddy?
Doing all right.
Yeah?
All right. I didn't want to touch it. You guys talked about the George Strait concert a little bit. The exact number, 110,905. Most attended event at Kyle Field in its history. The second being 110,663, 2014. And then after that, 2021, you had 109,000 when Auburn came into town. So,
oh, is that right? Okay. Was that the Auburn game where
23
they didn't score?
Michael Clemens.
Michael Clemens said they didn't score an offensive touchdown and won convincingly.
Yeah, it was awesome. I think that was, what, they go 8-4 that year, something like that?
Yeah.
But anyways, let's get into some other Aggie news. 21 Aggie swimmers are competing at the U.S. Olympic trials this week, and that doesn't include 3 divers as well. So we have a lot of competing athletes trying to make it to the Olympics this time of year. You also had A&M track and field head coach Pat Henry winning the U.S. Track and Field and Cross Country Coaches Association South Central Region Men's Coach of the Year honor. A little bit of a word salad right there, but congratulations, Coach Henry. I know he's from Morgan Hard. And also, and I know that Billy's going to bring this up, and I hope you ask him about it, but Keati Armstrong.
Keati Armstrong, baby, yep.
New commit for Texas A&M football. You got a guy who's 6'6", 250 pounds.
Athlete.
Tight end, defensive end. You know what his wingspan is? 84 inches. You want to do the math on that? How many feet that is?
How many?
That's 7 feet.
7
A 7-foot wingspan for tight end or edge or, I mean.
Wherever he wants to play.
Wherever he wants to play. Does he want to put on a couple pounds, play tackle? I mean,
yep.
Whatever he wants to do, it sounds like that. He's from Jasper, so East Texas guy, so I'm sure Olin can appreciate that. And then also Sam Bennett as well, making the cut at the U.S. Open. I know we talked about it last Friday, but he finished, I think, 72nd, But good for him. He keeps on trucking along.
Yes, sir.
So, and then I guess last thing to wrap it up here. Oh, no, that's it. That's what I got.
You enjoy hanging out with my dogs?
Your dogs, they're good dogs. They're good dogs. A little crazy.
A little high maintenance at times.
I mean, they just...
One is very trained.
Oh, Beckham is awesome.
Beckham's the best, yeah.
Beckham's the best. I hope he's doing all right.
The puppies are terrible. I hate them, and I love them at the same time.
I know. They are magical in the sense where they are just chaotic, but amidst the chaos, you kind of find that, peace with the puppies, and you're like, wow, why do I love these dogs so much?
Like prisoner syndrome? Like you kind of miss it?
Yeah,
there you go.
Exactly.
Thank you, Dawson. Appreciate you, sir. All right, in the closing minute, insurance, Rollo Insurance, the official insurance provider of TexAgs Radio. The difference is real. They're an independent insurance company built around educating you and doing the shopping for you so that you can accomplish all of your insurance goals. They can take care of you right here in College Station. That's where you can find their headquarters on Highway 6. Call them up, 888-44-ROLLO, or go to RolloInsurance.com. Say hi to Jackson, Jason, and the entire crew over there. Super local, super great at what they do. We're using them as my boys are getting their permits this week, even though they're about to be 16 at the end of the week. I know, we're late. Call them up. It is 888-44-ROLLO. Go to RolloInsurance.com. It is Rollo Insurance. All right, we're back here on TexAgs Radio. We are presented by David Gardner's Jewelers Rollo Insurance Studio. So tonight, A&M baseball taking on Kentucky, 6 o'clock. Ryan Brauninger going to get the start. What a luxury it is to have your ace go in Game 2, right? Kentucky used their ace. A&M gets to use theirs tonight in Ryan Brauninger. Hoping to bounce back after a rough outing. That's okay. Some of those things happen. Hopefully he takes care of business. We should have Billy on the program at some point this hour. So if you want to send in some questions for Billy, you can do that at 979-693-1150. While we're wasting time, if you want to call the show and be a part of that conversation, your thoughts on Prager's performance, your thought on Jace Lavallette's catch. Where does that rank in the moments that you've witnessed in Aggie baseball? I am a prisoner of the moment because it's the most recent thing. But when you think about, look, how you win games are always, like, especially when you come from behind, those are the most impactful ones, right? Like, you're down, you hit a 3-run blast, you think about that more than you do. But what Jace Lavallette did is the exact same thing, right? That ball was a home run, and he robbed them of the home run, right? He kept the game in hand. He kept the Aggies with the lead. That, to me, is that same kind of moment. And is it AC level of greatness? I think so. I think it has to be. Is it Seth Small? I think so. It's in that level. And I know we've had some other ones. So where does it rank for you? And what do you think about tonight? 979-693-1150. Let's go to the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. The Mac Attack is there. She's got some text messages to discuss.
Before we get to the text messages.
You going to complain about something?
No, nothing to complain about.
All right.
Just asking, stakes are high today. How do you think the Ags will maintain composure, the focus? The environment's going to be very hectic. There's a lot going on last game. So what do you think is going to go on?
Well, I'm going to let Billy answer part of that because we do have him ready on the hotline. But here's my answer to you. They're going to do what they've done all season long. The catch by Jace Lavallette, to me, is exactly how A&M baseball handles their business, right? When you watch him make the catch, he is cool, calm, and collect. Even takes a few steps afterwards, just kind of like, yeah, this is what I do. And then the moment synced in. That's how I expect A&M to handle the rest of the College World Series. With that, we go to the hotline. Billy Liucci is there. Billy, the question was, how do you think A&M will handle this this atmosphere? And I think they just do what they do.
Well, you never know, David. You never know till you're there. You never know with each team. I think when you get to a certain level where it's program expectation and no one really sustains that forever, LSU maybe, very small list. Texas likes to act like they do, but they don't. When your expectation year in and year out, where the guys come to the program knowing they're going to go multiple times. But, even then, like, the SEC is littered with guys in the last couple of years that went to their schools thinking they were going to go Omaha 2-3 times, if not every year, that aren't there this year, that weren't there last year. And in the case of Mississippi State, that hadn't been since they won it. So you never know, really, how a team's going to handle it. And kind of saw the beginning even of that Florida State-Tennessee game, where it was sloppy and it was one team, then it was the next, struggling. But now you're in game 2. So you saw A&M in a heated baseball game, very tense. Everything was riding on every single pitch, and base runners, you get a base runner and the stress levels go up, exponentially. And the Aggies handled themselves just fine. And they looked very poised. You mentioned Jason's catch. And they looked poised from start to finish in that one. The guys on the mound showed great poise. So, yeah, I think you can fully expect them to go out and handle business from that standpoint. But you'd say the same about Kentucky, too. They were in a nail-biter of a baseball game, kind of wire to wire all the way through extra innings. So I thought both teams, at least from the mental picture / ready for the big stage part, looked fine in their openers.
Yeah, Billy, the thing that I've learned about a Schloss coach team, though, is that the moment isn't too big. And, yeah, you're right. We don't know until we get there. But I just feel like this team win so many different ways, and sometimes it takes Justin Lampkin 3 innings out of nowhere. It feels like out of nowhere, but we've seen him do it in Omaha before. When we talk about that part of it, how they can beat you different ways, I think it bodes well for a Kentucky team that's not like any of the teams you've played so far.
Yeah, I mean, we saw it the other night. You know, the Aggies can win a 3-2 game. They can win a 13-12 game. They can win they can be in a 3-2 game and very quickly turn that into a, 11-4 baseball game. And that's what I'm really like. I'm not expecting it against a team like Kentucky, but I feel like the longer the Aggies hang around and the more times these guys come to the plate, that there's going to be a game if they can just hang around and get into that more taxed pitching. And on the A&M side, we'll have to work. Schlossnagle will have to manage that too, Max Weiner, as we go along. But as they can get into that more taxed pitching, which shouldn't be today in a second game, but eventually they'll get there. At some point, I can see this offense really busting out. But if they have to win a low-scoring dogfight, which a lot of these games have been so far, yeah, they've proven many times over they can do that, and they've proven it twice. It's funny if you look at their last 5 games, right? They did it 4-2 against Texas in 11 innings. Where the runs were very hard to come by, much less even base runners. They blasted ULM with 5 home runs. Then they came back in against Oregon, and it was a little of both in each game. Where they were slow starts, and Oregon pitching looked good, and they came back and they scored 25 runs in 2 games and did it without the long ball. And then they come out the other night and they win 3-2 with pitching and defense. So this team can get you any which way. They just go out there to win. And that's, but I'm telling you, it's crazy. Kentucky is built in a lot of the same ways with the intangibles. So that's going to be fascinating to see if either team comes out and really changes their style, not style, but all of a sudden looks like a different team just mashing, or if this is just 2 teams that are going to say, hey, let's see who can outlast the other.
Doesn't it feel like a home run explosion is due? Like we're going to see it at some point, Billy?
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Like I don't feel like it's overdue. Like we've been sitting here waiting, going, "Oh man, this offense has got to pick up at some point." I mean, they're in game 1 in Omaha in that stadium, and they had to, scratch and claw for 3 runs. Luckily, Florida only scratched and clawed for 2, and that's probably a more power-laced lineup than even A&M's when you subtract Braden from it. So I don't think they're overdue for anything when you consider they went 4 against Texas, and then they went 9, 10, and 15 in 3 games in a row. So we're a game removed from them scoring 15 runs. It's going to be interesting too. These are 2 teams that are very patient at the plate. I heard them talking earlier about Prager, and listen, David, there was a lot said. Nothing bad. Like sometimes I think Slosh gets very, he'll get defensive about any, if the people are questioning decisions, and like any good coach does. And I don't think he should have been questioned about the Lampkin decision, because I talked about it during the week. I talked about it an hour before they put it out on radio with you last time I was on, explaining what the decision was. Hopefully, and I know, he doesn't get too distracted by like posters on message boards and stuff, but people were kind of like, oh my God. And I get it, because you just think ace, game 1, ace, game 1. He's trying to win 2 games here. That is the first order of business. I said that the other day. The ultimate goal in this tournament is to win the tournament. He says that a million times. To win that tournament, the best thing you can do is win your first two games. You saw Tennessee. I saw their odds to win the tournament right now. A&M, I think, is in like second at like 22%. Kentucky's third at like 19 or something like that. But because Tennessee won game two, they're sitting there at like 49% odds to win it. Every decision he made was to beat Florida, and I fully believe this. I think number two, and they didn't ignore NC State, but I think they were fairly confident that if we win, we're probably facing Kentucky. Now, again, they did every bit of prep you need to do for NC State, but this matchup and this setup and the decisions that were made, to me, because Kentucky's so unique. You think about Cortez and how he misses bats and Florida's free swing. And you think about Kentucky and their patience and how Cortez strikes so many guys out on that slider out of the zone. Kentucky's patient. Slider out of the zone, a lot of balls, for Jackson Appel, that's a really, what he does every time Cortez is on the mound is special because Chris is such filthy stuff. If a catcher, you better be on your game. Well, Kentucky, any kind of bobble or delay at the plate or ball in the dirt, they're going. And they're bunting, and they're hit and run, and pass balls or result in bases every time with all that back. So I just think matchup-wise, Schloss is looking at it, and even Prager, for what an ace he's been all year, sometimes he'll give up home runs, and Florida can make a living off hitting home runs. So I think the matchup, it was perfect. If you can win that first game, and now Lampkin threw only 42 pitches, now you've got your ace pitcher, one of the three best pitchers in the league this year, without question. Probably should have been first team all SEC. On the mound in a game that if you win this game, you're in the driver's seat to play for a national championship. And guess what? You've got Ryan freaking Prager taking the bump. Not only Ryan Prager, but a Ryan Prager who has started a game in this College World Series, in this stadium, has experience. So, yeah, you got the guy you want going up there. And then, I heard Bronny talking about the whole, fielding his position thing. And just a guy that's been there on that mound, pitched in so many big Friday night games, so many big games in the SEC this season, that mentally he's ready for the challenge. That part of it's going to be fine for him. So, and by the way, I think it's a guy that's looking to bounce back. You can get to where you are if you're Ryan Prager by not being a competitive dog, and to come back from that injury like he did, to pitch the way he has this year without being an intensely competitive athlete. So I can promise you that guy wants to go out there tonight and show out. And look, you've got all you can ask for. It guarantees you nothing because Kentucky's, I'm telling you, if any fans, I even had some people last night from around the SEC going, you guys are fine tomorrow. It's fine. I'm like, Kentucky's won like 50-something games, and they do it in a style that you don't see every day. We talk about this with ULM, the couple times they've been in the Aggie regionals. Style change-ups are tough sometimes. But Kentucky, I think if A&M were playing even South Carolina or LSU or Mississippi State, who aren't in this thing, people would be like, man, that's pretty daunting. It's LSU. Kentucky's a better baseball team than all those guys this year, and it ain't even close. And by the way, Kentucky's a better baseball team than Florida this year, factually. So before this thing started, I thought the three best teams, I've said it, were Tennessee, A&M, and Kentucky. And A&M with Braden and today, I would have said it's 1-1A with Tennessee, and without, I was like, Tennessee looks like the best, and one, or 2A and 2B, A&M and Kentucky. I think they're on the same level, so the Aggies are going to have to play well and win a baseball game tonight, which I think we all know We all know that they can. I believe that they will, but it's, this is one of those games that if you're looking at it with an unbiased eye, it's a really interesting, fun matchup. It should be a great College World Series game.
Billy, what a luxury to be able to pitch Prager in Game 2 of the College World Series because you have the confidence that Justin Lampkin can go out and do what he did, and he did do that, followed up by Chris Cortez. So let's talk about the pitching, the 16 strikeouts that we saw there on Saturday night.
And against who? A lineup that the entire country's scared of. A lineup that came in, look at what they did. Look at what they did at Clemson. Some of those, I think, I'm not positive. They went like 10-7 and then scored like 11 in that extra inning. That they were, both teams were hitting bombs in that series. And you've got Caglione, who's as good a hitter as the college game's seen in years. Maybe the number 1 overall pick. I don't know if they'll go him or Condon. I've talked to plenty of people whose baseball opinion I really respect that say they'd take Cags first, just because of the defensive side of it too, and maybe even less holes in his swing. But to go out there and navigate that lineup for 9 full innings and give up 2 runs is remarkable. And the only thing more remarkable was Chase's play, which when you factor in, because I told Bronny this yesterday, we were talking about it, he goes, well, you got to be careful not to be prisoner of the moment. I don't give a damn about prisoner of the moment. This is what he is, the phrase thief. Prisoner of the moment is your phrase, Nuño. You say that a lot. He ripped it from you and used it on me. And where I had to correct him was, I'm not being prisoner of the moment. I'm thinking about moment, and A&M has not played in very many moments like that in its history. So when has there been any catch that has won a game in Omaha when in A&M's history they've won like 6 games in Omaha? And when has that catch been made with a team that, when the catch is made, has eyes on a national title and is just a few steps away? When in a game was it the 9th inning and it's a potential 2-run homer to give Florida the lead with their nasty reliever in the game? And in a game that's been going, until 1 a.m. On a night where 100,000 Aggies left George Strait and Parker McCollum went straight to the bars and their suites and everywhere else to be dialed in and locked in. That was as big a catch as has ever been made in Maroon and White. And I'm telling you, and then what it could be could make it one of the biggest sports plays in A&M history. Bigger. Right now, you think about the shot, you think about Brandon Stewart to Sir Parker, you think about Seth Small in the walk-off field goal versus Bama, you think, Johnny Football and the spinning, catch the fumble in midair, throw it to Swope. There are moments, right? Byington against Texas. There are moments. That catch is going to be, it's one of those moments for now. But if this team goes on and wins it, then it becomes like one of the most, you'd have to start talking about the most iconic play in A&M sports history. Now, that's prisoner of the moment. We'll see where the moment takes us. But as far as just defensive plays in A&M history, baseball history, which is what I said, I don't think there's ever been one bigger. I mean, it directly won you a game in the 9th inning in Omaha in a World Series game. The only thing I could think of that would be a contender is if someone made the same similar play to get a team to Omaha, at Bluebell Park, and like something like that. And by the way, that hadn't happened. So this is without question to me number 1.
Billy, regardless of where we want to rank it, it's going to be a moment that we talk about for the next 20, 30 years. It's going to be one of those. It's the AC Law. It's the Seth Small. It's that level of moment that we're all going to remember where we were when it happened.
Yeah, no question about it. No question about it. It's already, it's like I said, it's already iconic. And then we'll see from there here's this, we can close the book on the catch with this one. It's iconic. We know that. What we don't know yet is how important it was. We know it was important because they don't win a CWS game. Or should I have to say MWCS? Man, I don't know how that works. But they won a CWS game, so we know how it's already really important. But if they go win this whole thing, man, you go back to that and you go, not only did it win you that game, but that set the tone for just like, to me, that could be a tone setter. This was A&M's week, and they made that real clear real early. By the way, I sat and watched Tennessee yesterday, pretty much the whole game. It's the second time I've seen them. I watched them play A&M, caught a little bit of another game in Hoover, and then watched them yesterday. I mean, they're obviously really, really good. I think they're the best looking team in it, but certainly if A&M gets their crack at them, that's going to be a series that either team can win. They're not like some invincible juggernaut of a baseball team, which is what they looked like 2 years ago when Notre Dame won a best of three. But yeah, that's a really, really good team over there. And I do think, as it's looking right now, I think they're going to just roll through that regional. I wish North Carolina or Florida State could get them, but those two teams have to play one more game, and there's Tennessee just waiting on them, and I just think Tennessee's going to be too rested, and I think they're going to cruise to 3-0. And I know right now we're not thinking that far ahead, but that does matter. It does matter. So that makes winning tonight even that much more important for A&M if they have eyes on winning this whole thing, which, like I said, that's Bosch's entire approach to everything he's done leading up to and during this series is to win the whole damn thing. And it wouldn't hurt at all for Tennessee to have to play an extra game if one of those teams can get them in game one. But I don't see it. I don't see it with the way Tennessee hit. As can you put Florida State or UNC to have to pitch one more game and then go through that Tennessee lineup several times in 9 innings? I just don't see it.
We're late for a break, but Felipe sends in, if you're tired of Tony Vitello's act, I kind of like his act because I think it's a little toned down of what we saw a couple years ago. But what do you think about Vitello, Billy?
It doesn't faze me very much. I mean, I think Vitello's act is an act that Tennessee fans they're 100% behind. I think they line up and they say, that's our guy. And I think they're 100% behind it. I think your act, like your intensity, what you get pissed about, how you express it to the media and stuff, it's to each their own. Schloss doesn't hold back, carries himself in a completely different way, but he doesn't hold back. These coaches, I think, as long as you're not cookie cutter and PC and worried about what you say to the point that it doesn't make you honest, I have an appreciation at least for that. But it's a to each their own thing. Like I said, that Tennessee fan base is 100% behind it. And by the way, like, teams would line up to hire that guy. I mean,
let's be honest.
So you don't want to sit there and say too much when it's like, yeah, you know what? If LSU, who hates Tony Vitello, right? If they had an opening tomorrow, they'd line up to hire that guy. So sometimes you got to have some common sense.
So to break here, Billy. We'll come back with some more baseball on the other side. He is in Omaha. We'll get more of Billy here in a moment. Right now, we're talking Costa Vida. You know Holly Johnson. She's an Aggie. She's great. She and her husband decided to open up this restaurant, Costa Vida, during COVID, right? And it was her dream to bring a restaurant to Aggieland. She certainly did that, and it's just fresh just tastes so much better, right? The fresh mix there made your way exactly the way you love it. That's what they do there at Costa Vida. Everything is scratch made. You can taste the difference at Costa Vida, and you can get your breakfast tacos there. You can get your breakfast, you can get your coffee in the morning because they now are open in the morning. You can go there and just start your day. In fact, just stay there all day, right? And talk Aggie baseball with her because they have the home run combo there. Jace Lavalette and Ryan Targott's favorite out there, right? It is so, so delicious. You certainly want to go to Costa Vida during this College World Series run, but anytime, right? You can go there for lunch, get your quesadillas, you can get your sweet pork quesadillas, you can get your shrimp taco and mango salsa, you can get your chips and queso. Delicious food done the right way. They can help you out catering events for 10 or more. It's such a fantastic place. It is Aggie owned and operated, 4501 Mills Park Circle in South College Station. That is 4501 Mills Park Circle in College Station. It's Costa Vida. We're back here on TexAgs Radio. We are presented by David Gardner's Jewelers Rollo Insurance Studio. Billy Liucci is on the hotline. Let's go to the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. Max got a question for Billy from John in Cypress.
Not sure everyone wanted more for one player. Every time Girl Havoc comes up begging for a big kid breakout and see him with a big smile and loving baseball.
So, Billy, just talking about hoping to see Gavin Grohovic there break out here soon. I feel like he's hitting the ball well. It's just we're waiting for that moment where he unleashes the things that we saw earlier in the year.
Well, David, when he unleashes the things that we saw earlier in the year, it's going to be
I thought it was more of a question. It was more of a statement initially from the text, so I was trying to fix it.
Nuño, I miss you. No, it's like I've said that I said it yesterday, or late Saturday night. Which, by the way, we haven't even talked about Parker and George Strait and the magic that went on at Kyle Field. That was, somebody keeps asking me. So I've been to 1 million concerts, and I've seen George a few times, and if George was at a 10 the other night, I come to realize the ones I've seen him at, he's like at a 7, because that was as good as I've ever seen George Strait, and wasn't even close. And it had nothing to do with him. He's always great, but I think he took it to a whole nother level because of that crowd and the energy, and just there was something in the air that night. That dang rain delay, weather delay up here, I think just added to it, as Aggies were sitting there going like, we came to this concert thinking we're going to have to watch it on our phones or in the corners of our suites, and now we're going to get to see it at the end of this game. It was just really cool, the whole thing. But Parker was best I've ever seen him. George, we went by the Lucchese store on Friday, saw Parker for a minute. It was awesome the whole weekend. But there was magic in the air at Kyle. And it was nice to go to Kyle Field these last 2 weekends and not be stressed out. It was a beautiful thing, to not have to worry about how the Aggies were going to fare, even when, whether they're a great team or if they're underdog, whatever, not to stress it. And you went to Kyle Field knowing you couldn't lose, and that was a pretty great deal. And also not having to work. It was different, but what I was saying that night after that game, when we're talking A&M's advanced now, they won a game in Omaha. They're 6-0 in the postseason. So again, when people are talking about, oh, this team's hot, oh no, you got to play Florida. They're hot. A&M's not really that hot. Like I said, you scored 25 in 2 games against Oregon. You won a regional in one of the most intensely competitive games there was, and in a true rivalry game that nothing in regional play could even come close to matching. This team is tested, and they're 6-0. They're tested like crazy, and they're 6-0. This is the hot team. And by the way, so is Kentucky. I don't believe they've lost a game either.
Those are the only 2.
These are 2 teams that are going head-to-head that don't know what losing feels like. And what I was getting at is A&M's there, and they've done it in the last 3 games without Braden Montgomery, who's a first-team All-American and a top 5 draft pick. And in those games as well, while Jace has gotten on base a ton, and we've seen Gavin in both of them kind of rip the ball at times, but not have a ton to show for it in terms of hits and home runs. That's coming. Those 2 guys. The more comfortable they get, the more at-bats they get. Like, they're going to hit some home runs. They're going to hit some doubles. They're going to drive in runs. It's going to happen. And because we've got a season's worth of evidence to tell you it will. And again, it's not like these guys are out there lost at the plate by any stretch. I mean, I'm saying it in a way to say whatever they've been doing, we know it's a whole nother level. And I think one, if not both of them, will hit that before Omaha, ends. And the thing is, you get both those guys going, Katie bars the door. I mean, that's the formula that results in a national title. Is when those 2 guys get going and everybody else can feed off of them, and that other group has shown when they have to pick everybody up, they will. But imagine if Gavin and Jace both get going like a game dialed in at the same time for a couple game stretch here. You're going to look up, and we're going to be talking about Texas A&M with a chance to win the whole damn thing.
Well, I brought this up to Bronny as I mumble there, and I just want to give it to you too, Billy. The fact that this team, I still have that same, like, we might win it all feeling even after the injuries, right? There's something about this team, and they got a long way to go. But if you lose Connor Wigman in football, like you feel very comfortable with your backups, but it's a different kind of vibe. There was definitely a different vibe when Braden goes down and Shane goes down, but I still think they can do it, and they might do it, and they probably will. Like I expect them to be one of the final 2 teams.
I mean, if you're making me bet money on it, I am. Again, Kentucky could win the national title. They're that good. But this Texas A&M team, you're right, it has a feel to it. I think they're incredibly well coached. I think they're a perfect mix of really fierce competitors, but guys that love to have fun. And that clubhouse and that dugout, that locker room, like they are a fun bunch. They're a very, very tight-knit bunch, too. They're, that's as close a team as I can remember. It reminds me a lot. It reminds me a lot of the 99 baseball team from that standpoint. It reminds me a lot of the 98 Big 12 football champions. These championship teams kind of have that. The golf team, the 2011 golf team, led by J.T. Higgins. I'm saying that because he's in town here with us. But, no, it really, these championship programs, and this team has that feel, David, and they do. And they had it the other night to just kind of find a way to win, or they might go out there and absolutely kick your ass. You just never know. But whatever the result, they're finding ways to win, and they're having fun doing it, and they're playing for a coach that it's the perfect mix for these group of guys and Slosh, because they won't get too loose with it ever with him coaching, but they also, I think, loosen things up for him and kind of how he's done things historically. I think it's been a nice mix. He's let his edge down just enough, versus those guys. He's the boss of the whole thing and keeps it running the way it needs to be run, but it also is letting those guys have fun. And that's how it has to be. I really think that's how it has to be for this team right now. And they're loose, but, man, they got eyes on a championship. And I told you that when they left. Like, they talked about it openly, like, we're going to win it. Not in a cocky way, but they truly believe. They believe not only that they're that good, they believe what you said. They've got something special going. And they understand that, and they believe that. And that's hard to beat. Because when you're down to Oregon the way they were, when it's a struggle against Texas the way it was, when a guy hits a pitch 100-something off the bat in the 9th inning, like, they just go, all right, Jason can go back there, catch the ball, and fire it in. And like you said, it's like it didn't even really set in what he had done until that ball was back in the infield. Like, damn, I just robbed a home run in the 9th. But that's the approach, and that's what's so fun about watching these guys, too.
Let's hit a break. I want to ask you about Keadia Armstrong on the other side, Billy. We'll get to that here in a few minutes. He'll stay on hold here. It's TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. Right now, a moment for Caldwell Country Chevrolet. You can find them on Highway 21 in Caldwell and online at caldwellcountrychevrolet.com. Here's the thing. When you need a vehicle, you go to Caldwell Country Chevrolet. It's that simple. You go to their website, you see the cars that they have, you get a feel for the pricing, get a feel for the selection that they have. Then you make the drive. If you were in town here for the concert, right, you should have gone by Caldwell Country Chevrolet right before, and if you weren't from the area. If you're from the area, you make the drive, right? No big deal. You'll see the great pricing, the great trade-in value, the incredible customer service. That's what they do there at Caldwell Country Chevrolet. You can find them on Highway 21 in Caldwell and online at caldwellcountrychevrolet.com. Remember, 15-minute drive. We're talking about the edge of Bryan to the beginnings of Caldwell. A short conversation away, but you'll see the difference when you step on the lot and do business with the great people there at Caldwell Country Chevrolet. Again, Highway 21 in Caldwell, online, caldwellcountrychevrolet.com. All right, we are back here on TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studios. Go back to the hotline. Billy Liucci is with us. So over the weekend, we found out that Kiadi Armstrong, Billy, had committed to Texas A&M. Let's talk about the player himself and how big of an acquisition that's going to be for A&M.
Well, I think it's now we've got Richard Zane on the couch. Why'd you let him do that, by the way?
I figured you would bring that up to me.
That was just absolute buffoonery on his part, just a plea for attention. And by the way, that was a great story he wrote for Father's Day, and I have to tell him this, positive reinforcement over here, me. But it was a great article. I know a lot of people come up to me unprompted and just tell me how much they like it. So that's always, whether it's usually Olin that writes those, but when people are talking about it like that, it means Zane really hit the mark. So I'm proud of him there. What did make me laugh, though, is talking about, it's really tough when you're away at work on holidays. I'm like, this guy, if it was 50 years old or 80 years ago, he the way he's waxing, it's tough to be overseas here during the holidays and times like he's, if 80 years ago, Zane's on Omaha Beach. Now he's in Omaha, Nebraska. These guys might take a day off tomorrow and go to the zoo and go watch the, giraffes and elephants and stuff. And he's like, it's really tough up here. No, come on now, Zane. I'd like to see them continue this production at work, though, because they're having a good trip so far. I don't want to jinx it, but I feel like content-wise, Zane, Bronny, Katie, Jamie, who we've brought out of retirement. I feel like they're throwing a no-hitter right now.
They are doing fantastic. And by the way, it's good to see Jamie back with the crew. Let's talk a little bit about Kiadi Armstrong and what A&M's getting with him.
I think just, first of all, a national top 100 prospect. You got all this stuff matters still, the hype and the stars and the other kids see it and they want to be a part of it. And I know in the portal era, people act like recruiting still matters. Recruiting is still the lifeblood. High school recruiting, getting players that can develop. Armstrong is as talented a football player as there is in the state. Athletically, look, this dude is like he's gonna have an NFL frame immediately upon stepping foot on a college campus. But he's, over 6'5", he'll be 6'6". He's like almost 250 pounds already. He is a big athletic guy. Could play tight end, could play DN. I think, it's almost like whatever he wants to play, he can play. I picture him as a tight end in a Colin Klein offense. Just, what a weapon. What a weapon he could be, and how physical, what physicality. And I think this kid that everybody in the country would have been happy to take because of the potential there. And he's already a good football player, but his best football is so far ahead of him, and anyone that recruits Jasper High School has known that for more than a year now. When they were recruiting Ty Anthony Smith, and you're looking at Kiadi Armstrong going, oh my God, wait till next year, because I'd love to get that guy. And the Aggies to be able to get him early, and what that means for the class right now. They're really coming on. Mike Elko in this recruiting class, that commitment I think pushed them into like the top 7 or 8. I think they're 8th right now in the national ranking. And I don't think people outside of College Station expected that. And momentum is a funny thing now. They're going to get, and we're keeping our eyes on a couple other guys from this weekend. They're going to get other commitments from this weekend, and maybe 1 or 2 of them in relatively short order. This class is only going to go up, and pretty soon you're going to look up and it's going to be pushing top 5 level. And that matters, David, for, just perception of where your program, the trajectory, but more importantly to me, in the eyes of the kids that are on the fence. You want to be a part of a big class. You want guys like Rink and Longstreet, pumping it up on social media. I think Rink's been awesome in that regard. And the kids see it. They buy in even more. They get more excited. You flip a couple guys that are on the fence. And it also helps you keep the thing going. Because every high school player wants to sign and be a part of a highly regarded class and the class people are talking about. And so momentum still matters on that front.
All right, Billy, let's hit a break. We'll come back with some final thoughts on the game against Kentucky. It's TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. All right, time to end the day with Double Dave's. Caller number 12, 979-693-1150. We're going to hook you up with your choice of a dozen pepperoni rolls or a large one-topping pizza from Double Dave's, who have been serving Aggieland since 1984 with your favorite pizza and world-famous pepperoni rolls. Reliable in-house delivery, bringing piping hot goodness straight to your door. Just click on doubledaves.com, and your favorites are on their way. As a reminder, they are not open on Mondays, but Billy Liucci is open on a Monday. Billy, we're going to close out here the last, 4 minutes or so. What are some things to look out for tonight, in your opinion? Good things to look out for A&M baseball.
Good things to look out for tonight. I think the best thing is who you got taking the bomb. The guy that's going to be out there on the pitching mound tonight is again, like I said earlier, it's who you want. If ever there's Jim Schlossnagle's pushed all the right buttons so far. And then even things have even just kind of worked out from the standpoint of there's a nightmare injury to Braden Montgomery, which is quite literally the worst injury you could have envisioned like this whole year. Just like it's Braden, it's Tags, it's Condon. Like these are guys like the guys in the sport that you don't want to see go down, and what he meant, and oh, by the way, still means to this locker room and the clubhouse. It's great to see him here in Omaha. I haven't seen him yet specifically, but I've seen everybody. I feel like everybody I know seen him and got the picture with him. He's been great with the Aggie fans, but when he goes down, it's like, do I think Braden could have leapt up and snagged the home run on the fence? No question. We know what kind of athlete the Aggies have, not only in right field but also in left with Sorrell. But it just so happens that that ball's hit over there, and someone made a point, and I agree. Like, hey, Braden might have hit a 3-1 bomb earlier in that game, so it didn't matter. So let's not kid ourselves with the Aggies lost. But oh, by the way, you have a 6'5" Jace Lavalette in right field now that goes over the wall and snag. He's pushing the right button, and the way he set up his pitching, it worked. It worked out perfectly. I'm fired up about that. And I'm expecting another big performance from Caden Sorrell. And keep your eye on Teddy Tubac tonight. Teddy Burke, that's my guy. I see him with a multi-hit night and an Aggie win.
Billy, thank you very much, sir. Enjoy the trip in Omaha. We'll talk to you here very soon.
Formula, I'll go check out the gym for you here, and then maybe even go to the Omaha Zoo here in a little bit before going to check out Florida and NC State.
Take some videos of the gym. I need to make sure it's up to my standards for later.
I'll be sure to post that.
Thank you, buddy.
All right, buddy. See you.
Later. Billy Liucci, the executive editor, co-owner of TexAgs Radio. All right, that's going to do it for TexAgs Radio here on a Monday. So tomorrow on the program, we'll have Bronny again. We'll have Zane again. Working on some other things. Tom Hart will join us. We'll try to get a former Aggie baseball player on the program as well. I think Shireen's going to be with us in OB. Mac, any final thoughts as we close out the show?
Good luck to the baseball team tonight.
Let's do it. I don't know if my voice did that. That was embarrassing. All right, guys. That's going to do it for TexAgs Radio on a Monday. We will see you all mañana.